dinner, and sometimes a little crazy. It's going to be a beautiful day in the greatest country in history. And we're gearing up for a whole morning of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab your coffee, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. We'll give you an update on the Trump trials coming up here in just a minute. 7 o'clock hour, Stephen Tubbs in studio with us.
It's going to be
He's
exciting.
got a new documentary coming out, Devastated Colorado. It's going to be out, I think, later this week.
Yeah.
On this, it's all about the fentanyl crisis that the state of Colorado is facing. Then you'll never guess what the mayor of Denver is doing to address crime.
Yeah. I don't think he knows. I don't. You won't believe this.
A racial and social equity public safety office.
Yeah.
$11 million and 65 employees from
the actual public safety office.
Yeah.
To address this DEI initiative in the city of Denver.
Yeah. And they don't have any idea about what the program's going to do.
Right. That's
great. We created a program and there seems to be no structure. This doesn't perfectly outline the problems we're having. Just come on. They're asked questions. Well, I don't even know if you're doing it right. What are they going to be doing? We don't know yet. What?
Get into all these stories, how Colorado's homeless scheme is lining the pockets of people instead of actually taking care of the homeless. So
we talked about this.
Lots of details.
Yeah, we talked about this months ago when we first started the show. We got into it about homelessness and dealing with people on the streets. But the one thing that we found agreement on is this was a giant government-funded jobs program. Yeah. Surprise! We were right.
That's exactly right.
We were right.
It's all coming together on the Jeff and Bill show. Let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. It's Blake Olson's News.
Hey, Billy. Good morning. It is hump day, and that's perfect because Stefan's going to be on the show today, and no one celebrates hump day like Stephen Tubbs. It's awesome. 47 and clear in Denver, expecting highs in the upper 60s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story flags will be at half staff across the country today for Peace Officers Memorial Day. The day honors those in law enforcement who have fallen in the line of duty. It was first proclaimed in 1962 by President Kennedy. A Thornton police officer shot and killed a man after he fired shots in the Carpenter Rec Center parking lot Tuesday. The man tried to evade an officer earlier. Could have been far worse. Thankfully, no one else was injured. The officer will be placed on administrative leave per department protocol. And as Jeff and Bill were just talking about, Denver Mayor Mike Johnston has announced the creation of the Office of Neighborhood Safety. The new office will focus on keeping the community safe without involving the police. The city will transfer $11 million and 65 employees from the Department of Safety to the new Office of Neighborhood Safety. And did he do that from Ireland? That's pretty amazing.
That is from a pub in Ireland, possibly.
Yeah,
but look, how much do you have to pay somebody to try to police a community with no guns, handcuffs, no police actual tools whatsoever?
Exactly.
Good luck. I wouldn't do that in my neighborhood.
No.
Out in Elizabeth, let alone in downtown Denver. Go police a neighborhood without police.
That's right. They're going to have a big poster of Barney Fife with one bullet on the wall. All right, Governor Polis signed 2 historic bills into law. One changes how TABOR refunds work. Instead of rebate checks, it lowers the state income tax rate to 4.25%. The other gives homeowners a large exemption and an average of $300 to $400 a year. Former President Trump's campaign derailment trial continues tomorrow. Trump and Speaker of the House Mike Johnston, who was on hand Tuesday to support the former president.
Expense, you called it a legal expense. This is the whole case. Are you allowed to call a legal expense a legal expense? I don't know what else you call it, actually.
This is the 5th week that President Trump has been in court for this sham of a trial. The crime that they are accusing President Trump of is falsification of business records. But I think everybody knows he is not the bookkeeper for his company. President Trump is innocent of these charges. And again, anyone with common sense can understand what is happening here.
President Biden is sharply raising tariffs on Chinese imports, including electric vehicles, semiconductors, and other goods. It's meant to counter China's unfair trade practices, but he's just reading prompters and rambling.
6 years ago, my predecessor showed up carrying a golden shovel, promising, thanks to his new $10 billion manufacturing complex, would be built in Racine. He said it would be the eighth wonder of the world. Big promises that never came true. He used that golden shovel to dig a hole, and then he fell into it. Well, it's not on my, that's part of my, what I'm delivering for Racine.
I think he started to say, not on my watch. So. Oh, man. Okay, the Auraria campus was, yes, he needs a nap. He was trying to get out of the rain, too. It's pretty funny to watch. I still can't believe he stands up there for longer than 10 minutes and reads. Whatever they're giving him is pretty amazing, honestly, because he looks.
It's got to be meth at this point.
It has to be. It's crazy. All right, the Auraria campus put on lockdown for the second day in a row. Tuesday afternoon, as Hamas supporters created more chaos, the protesters set up tents inside the Tivoli, and police say they began yelling, banging on trash cans, and trying to enter restricted parts of the building. A short time later, police told the protesters to leave, but 12 of them remained and were issued summonses for trespassing and interference. The student union was closed Tuesday evening and will reopen today. It's 44 in Broomfield, 43 in Parker, 47 in Denver. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills. Locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplacepatio.com.
One win away for Denver as they defend their championship. They beat the Timberwolves at home in Game 5, 112-97.
Joker Nikola Jokic scores 40, and the Nuggets beat up on the T-Wolves in Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals last night at Ball Arena. One more, and they move on. The Rockies win their sixth straight. They're 6-3 over the Padres. Getaway day this afternoon, and then they head to San Francisco. Avalanche take on the Stars tonight, trying to avoid elimination in the Western Conference semis there. And Caitlin Clark scores 20 in her debut, but her team loses. And thank you, Robert De Niro, for being a useful idiot. Great actor, but clueless on The View Tuesday.
Well, I think I don't understand why people are not taking him seriously because you read about it historically in other countries that they didn't take the people seriously. I think Hitler, Mussolini, but they're fools and clowns. Well, there will be, and I hear it. There's some people. I mean, who does not think that this guy is going to do exactly what he says he's going to do? Right. He's done it already.
All right, now look.
You know what he did already?
He was 19 months in a Vietnamese prison camp will do to you.
Sorry, I had to put Paul.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Talked right over you.
No, go ahead.
He's been the president of the United States before.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty great.
And life was better.
This idea that all of a sudden, Hitler, Mussolini, and things are going to be terrible. And I'm like,
totally out of touch.
We gave him this office. Yeah. We didn't go to any wars. The economy was great.
Exactly.
We had
the border was secure.
He did try not to leave. And technically, again, I know this isn't happy talk, but fundamentally, the fundamentals of the economy are stronger under Biden than under Trump. You can talk about person. Well, I know.
Go to the grocery store.
I know. Blake, you can disagree, but facts don't care.
Yeah.
GDP is higher. Employment is higher. Dow Jones is higher. Corporations are making record profits. All of the basic,
two or three jobs in employment.
I know, but tell me what the policy is that Trump implemented or will implement that's going to change that. I've been waiting
lower taxes.
How is
business?
Less
regulations.
But wait a minute, hang on. How lower taxes during the last lower taxes?
Limited government.
How is that going to change your prices at the grocery store? Again, the lower taxes are going to be marginal at the middle class The lower tax cuts are going to be marginal.
When you
you're
print
not going to
money,
be able to.
when you print money, things become more expensive. Inflation increases, and that's what they're doing.
So the printing money here in America caused inflation in Italy and Germany.
Yes.
How? Because they're not printing the money.
Because whatever we do, it's a ripple effect. Whatever we do,
that is very self-centered. And yes, I understand some policies. I understand that. But economically, that is incredibly self-centered, and also isn't born out by the facts. I mean, I understand this rage about the idea that we need Trump back to a better economy. The fundamentals don't show that it was better.
The healthier the United States, the healthier the world.
And what makes you think that the United States isn't healthy right now? In fact, based on the economic things you guys disagree with, the American economy is
safer, healthier, and better.
The American economy
we
is
are
the
the beacon
right now.
We are the beacon on
I know, but hang on. You're talking about failure in which our economy is doing better than almost everybody else on the planet. And yet you're talking about this being a failure. I'm not disagreeing that it is difficult to go to the store and purchase things. What I disagree with is that Donald Trump has a single policy or platform that is going to change it.
Single policy, but you think the economy is better now than it was under Donald Trump?
Here's the thing: it is not about my belief. I'm talking to you about the economic numbers.
But you are saying the economy is better now than it was under Donald Trump.
I am saying the economic numbers are better now under Biden than they are under Trump. Purchasing power has eroded, but part of that is because, I don't know, profit taking by corporations. We can talk about it. The FTC right now is investigating grocery stores because, oddly enough, weird things happen. You know, the people who control Kroger and Safeway and Albertsons. Oddly, during the pandemic in which they were having the supply chain issues, they increased their prices above the cost of the increase that they were seeing. They took profit on our backs during the pandemic. So did corporations. This happened. There isn't anything.
And who created that pandemic? The left?
No, what do you mean by created?
Well,
Talk about created.
Well, I don't.
Last time, hang on a second.
We're now over the pandemic.
No, hang on a second. So are you saying that you believe that the virus was created in order to bring the world down?
Yes.
Okay, then I can't help you.
Okay.
Can't help you on that one.
Well, that's just what I believe.
I understand that, but
when I see Walmart open and then mom and pop stores closed,
who was in charge of the
people wearing masks that don't work?
The masks do work, but we don't have to talk about that. We don't need to do that because that, again, science. So talk to me. Who created?
Fauci told me they don't work.
No.
He told me early on they don't work, and then he changed his mind.
Like you're telling me when you go in and you're going to have surgery, you're going to tell your doctors not to wear masks because they don't work, correct?
Well, if you touch the mask, I've listened to plenty of doctors. No, I want it. Look, if a surgeon is coming in to open me up, yes, I want him to wear a mask.
No, they don't work though.
Yeah, but those are the N95s or whatever they're called, right? The N95s. But here's the thing: you compromise a mask right when you touch it. So all these people walking around with masks, once they touch the mask, it's compromised.
The toddler, the 2-year-old, scrambling to pull the mask off. Yeah, no, it's a little different than the surgeon.
Yes, I want a surgeon to have a mask, definitely. But if he touches it, he better leave the room and go get another one.
Yeah, they don't work. So don't worry. No, they don't need the mask. They don't work. You said they don't work.
No, they don't. Not the diapers. that we all
I'm not feisty. It's just you guys are coming to conclusions they're not supported by facts. I mean, Blake, you know that masks work here in Colorado. You live here long enough. You walked outside with a scarf around your face. You've seen the difference in how water droplets spread, whether you cover your mouth or not. The masks were not there to prevent you from inhaling the disease. It was there so you don't spread it in case you are infected. That was the issue. Our government did a stupid, horrible, nasty job of explaining exactly why we're wearing the masks. None of us understood it.
Hey, if it made you feel better, if it made you feel safer and better, then
the issue is
my favorite was the person driving around by themselves with a mask.
Yeah, stupid. Yeah, absolutely stupid. And all you jerk offs wear the mask and bring it down below your nose. Your name idiot. You don't understand how it works.
I didn't wear a mask, so I don't know. I think I wore it twice.
We messed it up. We didn't understand the science, and then we screwed it up. And then we complain about the fact.
Why did Fauci tell me 2 weeks in that on camera? I think it was with 60 Minutes that masks don't work.
Well,
he's
hang on a sec.
He's the genius.
Hold on. So are you? But hang on a sec. Are you telling me, Blake? That you then believe everything else that he said? You universally accepted everything else he said. Well, hang on a sec. But you said the facts don't work. You can't come back. But hang on a sec. You can't come back and say you don't believe anything that he said, and then hang your hat on the mask don't work and say he told me, so he was right. You can't say he told me there was right, and then he wasn't the rest of the time.
We got to get on to the Trump trials here.
All right. I'm going to finish up here. I love it, Billy. Jeff and Bill, continue.
I just took my second bite, and my mouth is now numbing up.
Yeah.
And I can't think.
You would be surprised how often we get that as a comment from listeners.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
The 710
thanks for disagreement. Appreciate the disagreement.
Front range today will be in the 60s, and there's going to be some showers around, a couple of thunderstorms through evening. Low to mid 40s tonight. Sunny, warmer, and drier. Low to mid 70s and sunny and dry Thursday. Upper 40s Thursday night. We could be all the way to the low to mid 80s Friday. Friday, a bit breezy. Near 80 Saturday with an isolated thunderstorm. 70s and low 80s with late day thunderstorms Sunday and Monday. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right. Michael Cohen on his second day of testimony yesterday in the hush money trial payment. He was cross-examined, but not till a little bit later. Kind of starts out with the prosecution, diving into why would you abandon Donald Trump? Why would you change your position on him? You said at certain points you were willing to take a bullet for him. You were willing to go all the way. You would never write a book for $100 million, you said. And why would you change your perspective? His argument, essentially, I couldn't deal with the corruption anymore, so I changed my perspective. Now, I got a message from Chris Murray. We hosted Chris Murray yesterday on the show. He's an attorney, served as deputy general counsel for presidential campaigns in the past. And he basically said, I told you so. Trump lawyers call out Michael Cohen's TikTok insults in hush money trial cross-examination. A defense lawyer for Donald Trump, this is CNBC reporting. And remember, we don't get the transcripts from yesterday until about 7:30 tonight. And there's no televised broadcast of this trial. So we're relying upon court reporters in there working for the Washington Post, New York Times. You know how well that can go. But they basically do kind of like live tweets throughout the case. And so you can kind of gather what's going on that way. But here's an update, CNBC reporting. A defense lawyer for Donald Trump began cross-examining Michael Cohen on Tuesday afternoon by asking about expletive-laden insults that Cohen had lobbed at both the attorney and the former president. And they went through these line by line. You went on TikTok and called me a crying little S-word, asked defense attorney Todd Blanche at the Trump's criminal hush money trial. Sounds like something I would say, Cohen replied from the witness stand. When Blanche asked if the trial was important to you, Mr. Cohen, Mr. Cohen said, personally, yes. You referred to Trump as a dictator douchebag, Blanche asked. Cohen, who for years served Trump as his personal lawyer and fixer, again answered, sounds like something I would say. Blanche then asked Cohen if he said that Trump should go back to where he belongs, in an F-word cage, like an F-word animal. Recall saying that? Cohen replied, I recall saying that. Blanche, soon after that exchange, introduced a trial exhibit, a photo of a T-shirt that Cohen sells depicting Trump behind bars. Blanche's cross-examination began after a morning session during which Cohen testified. Trump told her, don't worry, I'm the president of the United States, after FBI agents raided Cohen's home and office in New York. Cohen told jurors that he was concerned, despondent, angry, after the April 2018 raid, which was conducted as part of the federal criminal investigation of Cohen. That probe later led to Cohen pleading guilty to campaign finance violations that resulted that are related to the hush money allegations against Trump in the current criminal case. Were you frightened? Assistant District Attorney Susan Hoffinger said to Cohen. Cohen replied, yes, ma'am. Cohen then testified that he left a message for Trump asking him to call me to let him know what was taking place. When Trump responded, he said, don't worry, I'm the president of the United States. There's nothing here. Everything's going to be okay. Stay tough. You're going to be okay, Cohen recalled on the witness stand. Hoffinger then asked, have you spoken directly with Mr. Trump since that time? No, ma'am. Cohen said his call to Trump was important to him because I wanted some reassurance that Mr. Trump had my back, especially as he dealt with issues that related to him. I felt reassured because I had the President of the United States protecting me. It's his Justice Department should go nowhere. Cohen said he initially maintained his ties to Trump after the raid, though other people, which he thought was extremely important to do. Trump listened closely to Cohen's testimony at that point. Hoffinger then showed jurors a Trump tweet sent after the raid, which accused New York Times reporter of trying to destroy Michael Cohen, his relationship with me, in the hope that he will flip, which refers to cooperating with prosecutors. So, interesting day for Donald Trump. I think the defense, from what I read in this, and again, we don't have the transcripts. We won't have them until 9:00 tonight. I think that they did a good job pulling out all the details, all the things that
Michael Cohen
is doing to try to personally profit from this. They point out that he's made $3.4 million off of book sales targeting his relationship with Donald Trump. He's written 2 books about his relationship with Donald Trump. He's made $3.4 million. He makes money off of TikTok. He sells T-shirts about Donald Trump going to jail. He is personally invested, financially, personally invested in the conviction of Donald Trump and wants to see that go forward. And I think the defense did a good job pulling that out to create possibly some reasonable doubt.
Yeah, I'm less convinced. I think they did a better job impugning him based on the number of times that he's lying. The idea that he's going out there and making money off of it, to me, is more of a so what. I don't think that's necessarily as denigrating to him as a witness, only because he's not the only one telling the story. The prosecution has done a very good job with triangulation, bringing in several other people that are said that corroborate the important parts of Cohen's story. Not the insults and not the lies and the stuff that he told and was convicted of perjury, but the stuff that is directly involved to this case and this payment. They've been able to corroborate that. And in the cross-examination that I saw and read, I didn't see them be able to touch that portion of his testimony. They did try to say, hey, you're a big liar. You say nasty things. You're making money off of this. But the core of what he says happened, they weren't able to touch that. And so, again, this is going to be based on the impression of the jury. If the jury looks at him, as the prosecution did, and said, this guy's a rat and he's a liar, but he tells this story and we can find other people that are credible that back up that story, then we have something. And that seems to be what they've done. Whether or not they have convinced the jury, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe the jury will sit there and say, well, he's making money off of it. But then the other testimony also corroborates other details inside the case. So we'll see. I mean, I'm curious to see how the cross-examination picks up on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have a day to really think about where to go. And if they don't go after his core testimony related to the payments, I got some questions, because again, that is going to be, depending again, they've got, I believe, 2 lawyers that are on the jury, and that seems to be an important issue. I have a hard time believing that the lawyers involved, and I don't know how they're going to be involved in the debate in the jury room, would let things like, oh, but he's making lots of money off of this, so now we can't believe him. I'm curious how the lawyers involved are going to deal with that, because that's the kind of thing that they are aware of, both defense and prosecution doing. And are they going to be that sort of guardrail? I'm curious to see how it goes.
And I think it goes to the trust issues, right? So here you have a guy that's lost his law license, So Michael Cohen was convicted not only of lying to Congress, of perjuring himself, but also of tax fraud.
Yeah.
And in all of that, he lost his law license. He has no ability to make money right now. He can't get hired any other way.
No.
So he wrote 2 books about his relationship with Donald Trump, made $3.4 million off of that, does the daily TikTok stuff, I think he said something like 200 podcast and television appearances. A vast majority, not all, but a vast majority about his relationship with Donald Trump. That's his shtick. That's where he makes his money. And from now until he manages a convenience store, that's what he's going to be doing, making money.
But how does that show us that what he's saying in the court is not true? All of that being true and accepted,
right?
Where does it enter that he's lying? Because the convictions on the perjury and stuff are based when he's lying for Trump. So it's when he's still his boy, and so that's different. That's different than him going out and being convicted of perjury after not being Trump's boy. And that's the issue. Is I think that when he's lying as Trump's guy, what it does is that for me furthers the narrative the prosecution is doing about the Trump team lying and saying they're trying to cover this up. They're not being honest with you because this witness, when he was on the team and wearing the jersey, was a liar and actually was convicted for it and went to prison for it. Because he was lying with the team, and now he's not part of the team, and of course they're going to tell you that he's a rat, because that's what happened.
So
that's kind of, I'm not certain that's
what all this does for me is I wouldn't hire this guy to mow my lawn.
Oh, either. No. But
and now I'm going to rely on his testimony to provide the first ever criminal conviction of a former president of the United States.
Whether or not I hire him to mow my lawn,
I wouldn't trust him to do anything.
I understand, but that doesn't mean he's lying about this, and that's what you have to come to the conclusion of. I know. Well, I understand that, but here's the idea, and this is why the prosecution understands that. That's why all the other witnesses have been there to buttress his story, just the court story. No,
I know that's
what they've done.
Did there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't believe it.
We'll see if the jury believes it or not. But that's what the prosecution has done. All of the things that Michael Cohen has said happened have been buttressed by other witnesses or other audio or other files. So there isn't a thing that is related to the actual crime that is alleged here that he is left on his own. That he's like, I'm the only one that knows this and everything else. He's the one that tells the first person story, but everybody else they put around him have shorn up just that core part. Not the fact that he lies about other stuff, not the fact that he was lying before, because that's irrelevant in this issue, just based on what they're alleging in the crime. Is it convincing for the jury? I don't know. And is the jury convinced based on what the other witnesses? I don't know. I wasn't in the courtroom, so I can't come to a conclusion on it. But that's what they're doing so far what I've seen. It has been a decent job. I mean, they've got a better than average shot at convicting him, but the only ones they know.
So one thing that stood out, which was interesting, they have the invoices that Michael Cohen sent to the CFO of the Donald Trump organization.
Yeah, the guy who was in prison.
The opening line on that says, per our retainer agreement, here's an invoice for that money, which sounds like legal services.
Well, here's the idea is if it was as they talked about it, we are going to classify this as a retainer. Now, we're not retaining you to do a thing. You're not doing anything. The issue is we're going to, no, he wasn't. He wasn't doing a thing for him. Not based on that retainer. And that's the idea, because the retainer was a repayment of what he had done when he took out the loan to pay off Stormy Daniels. And so they decided to call it a retainer, regardless of what they call it. If it's done without him providing legal services or retaining him legal services, then they're lying about it. And that's it. That's all they have to do. They have to get to, do you believe? And maybe the strongest argument was one we had out in front of the courtroom yesterday. The idea that Donald Trump doesn't know what his bookkeeper's doing. That somehow this guy doesn't. But again, the prosecution has shown many instances of him micromanaging where the money is going and how the contracts are negotiated and how the contracts are paid. Cohen had a thing where he brought it up where Donald Trump had him go and renegotiate a contract because he only wanted to pay 20 cents on the dollar what he originally agreed for. So the idea that Donald Trump didn't understand bookkeeping, again, we'll see if the jury is convinced. But so far, what I've seen from Bragg, he did a decent job of showing Donald Trump was involved in micromanaging the books. And the idea that the CFO went out there and went rogue on this seems outside of the boundaries, especially also given conversations they had real time that Michael Cohen recorded that showed Donald Trump being involved in how the payments are going to be executed.
So towards the end of the day, the line of questioning changes. This from the Washington Post. Court ended for the day with defense attorney Todd Blanche opening up a new line of questioning about friction between Michael Cohen and district attorney Alvin Bragg. Cohen confirmed that he was bothered by articles saying Bragg had doubts. So remember, Alvin Bragg is the one bringing the case. Bragg had doubts about Cohen's value as a witness. The weaknesses that worried Bragg are what Blanche will try to keep exploiting when the trial resumes on Thursday. What they were able to get towards right at the very end of the day, Todd Blanche spent several minutes grilling Michael Cohen on his desire to get out of home confinement in 2021, asking whether he cooperated with prosecutors for that reason. At the same time, the defense attorney suggested Cohen's home incarceration was not that bad. He was given 3 hours a day during which he could go anywhere in Manhattan. At first, he had an ankle monitor, but later he just had to carry a phone that probation officers could call at any time. Cohen freely admitted he wanted to use his cooperation with prosecutors to argue for a sentence reduction. He said he also thought he was entitled to early release because of the work he had done in prison. To get past beyond a reasonable doubt with all these types of things.
Well,
I think
what types of things?
A good day.
What types of things? How is that unusual? What Michael Cohen's asking for? Because many criminal defendants and many people involved in crimes ask for that cooperation or leniency. That's why Jenna Ellis pled in Georgia. Same thing. Exact same thing. Exactly. So Jenna,
the exact same thing. She's testifying against Donald Trump.
She's cooperating. Yeah.
She's not testified against him.
We don't know yet. She can be
so
called.
It's not the exact same thing.
She can be called. In order to this is the issue. In order to reduce her potential sentence, she is cooperating with prosecutors. Michael Cohen is offering to cooperate with prosecutors in order to reduce his sentence. Samey.
And that would not create reasonable doubt in your mind?
No.
That he's not going to say what the prosecution wants him to say?
Here's the idea. As long as the prosecution can show me that other people corroborate his story, again, that's the issue. Is Alvin Bragg good enough at showing me the core story, just the core, not anything else that Michael Cohen has done, the core story about these payments? Can he triangulate with enough other witnesses to have me trust Michael Cohen? Am I going to trust Cohen just based on what he says? No. But if you can show me 2 or 3 other people that say, yes, this happened, Michael Cohen said this happened, and here's the result that I saw.
Other people?
I don't have the entire list of the witnesses, but that's what they've done.
They haven't called anybody that can collaborate.
Yes,
this stuff.
Yes, they have. And
no, because these were only conversations between.
No, but it's based on when they call
Donald Trump.
When they talk to Hope Hicks, when they talk to the bookkeeper. That was process and procedure. That's what they were doing. They were talking about process and procedure. How did this go? How did this work? And what happens?
Those witnesses said that Donald Trump was paying out hush money repayments to Michael Cohen.
Those witnesses Those witnesses corroborated steps that Michael Cohen took. They corroborated the idea that how the payment was made. They corroborated the meetings that took place. They corroborated bookkeeping entries.
That doesn't cooperate.
They corroborated the bookkeeping entries. They corroborated how the checks were distributed. That's what they're doing. They're sitting there and saying, he's telling you the story, and we know this can be, or we can at least judge it could be true based on these other things that also happened at the same time that corroborate the behavior.
Alvin Bragg had doubts about Michael Cohen.
Yes, and that's why he had to bring in all the other witnesses to shore up his testimony, because he knows bringing Cohen on the stand in and of himself is not good and not going to convince anybody. So that's why Cohen is the last witness. Everybody else had to set the table. Everybody else had to set the tracks on the train tracks. They had to lay the spikes.
Would you vote to convict? Would you vote to convict based upon this stuff?
I have not been in the courtroom, so based on the information available to me,
I know you're not.
Yeah, based on what we've seen right now, I have a problem, and I would have to look into the law with it being charged as a felony. Do I think Donald Trump did this? Oh, 110%. But I'm of the mind that it seems to me to be more on the misdemeanor level and probably a fine. Is this felony crimes? I don't see felony. I think that Bragg is stretching it to make it a felony. But is it a misdemeanor? Yes. Does it seem that he did it? Yes, absolutely. Should it be a fine? Yes. Rather than time behind bars? Yes, absolutely. That's how I feel.
So if you only had the choice between convict on the charges they have brought, and not guilty.
Don't know. I'm not in the courtroom, and I don't know. I don't know if they can get me.
Oh,
If they can get me to a point.
Just based upon what you said.
Well, hang on a sec. I know that because you think these charges are trumped up, so it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. You walk into that courtroom believing you have a conviction. You have a conviction, and I don't mean by convicting him. You have made up your mind before walking into that courtroom. And what I'm saying is, I am open. I don't believe it right now, but I'm open to Alvin Bragg showing me that yes, it can be a felony. Do I believe it right now? No. Am I saying 110% right? No. However, you're saying you're 110% right, and you know, and you made that decision before he ever walked into the courtroom. That's different. It's different.
Text messages coming in. Give it up, Bill. They've been going after Trump since 2015. Nothing sticks. This too is all political lawfare. Democrats are cutthroat, corrupt tyrants.
Yeah, and lawfare, they picked this one first. This was the one that they were going to get him with, right? Yeah, that's why this one went first. Because they were so strategically smart that the weakest case they put first. Yeah, tell me another story.
5731. Think back to where we were exactly 4 years ago. The economy was virtually shut down, although we were past the bottom and on the path to recovery. Remember which administration set the groundwork for the path of inflation that we are experienced over the last few years by injecting printed money into the economy and exacerbating the federal debt circumstance. Hint, it was not the Biden administration.
Yeah.
Again, facts, don't get confused by them.
Yeah.
5731. All right. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. If you are in the court case, in the courtroom, and the prosecution is about to rest, there's one more day of cross-examination. At this point, are you a thumbs up for conviction of Donald Trump, first ever conviction of a president of the United States or former president of the United States for criminal activity, or are you a thumbs down, not guilty? Give me a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. I want to talk to you all about Roll 'em Out shelves. We had Joyce and Brent over to the house recently. Absolutely wonderful people. It's like having your mom and brother over. They share all the same values. So we're talking faith, we're talking family, we're talking our love for this country. They support the values of 710 KNUS. That's why they're advertisers on the station. So I had a great time having a conversation, and then we got to work. And they measured all of our kitchen, and we don't have a big kitchen. We live in a small little kind of ranch house, and with 6 people, so things are tight. You can imagine what dinners are like at the Hunt House, where we're trying to open this drawer and that drawer, and people are walking by and all that stuff. So things are kind of piled up on top of ourselves or on top of themselves in our drawers. And so we were looking for Roll 'em Out shelves, and they can install them in all different types of drawers. So the big ones, the big cabinets where you have all your food, to even the smaller cabinets, to your laundry room, to your bathroom. They have solutions for all different types of sizes, and they're going to be coming out in about a week to install them. We're very excited about this. Their attention to detail is unparalleled. Here's the best part. You don't have to break your bank for this type of transformation. For less than $1,000, you can embark on your very own home makeover journey with Roll 'em Out shelves. And let me assure you, these shelves are built to last. We have some custom kind of builder grade shelves, and they're not that great. And they're showing us the quality of their shelves totally different. They're crafted from sturdy Baltic birch, built right here in Colorado, and backed by a lifetime guarantee. You can trust that your space will stay organized for years to come. So what are you waiting for? Give Joyce and Brent, the dynamic duo behind Roll 'em Out shelves, a call today at 303-475-9601 or visit their website at rollemoutshelves.com for your free in-home estimate. Trust me, folks, the process is a breeze. You'll never look back. And don't forget to tell them Jeff sent you. rollemoutshelves.com. All right, we'll get your calls and texts. They're coming in. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Are you hearing us now? Talk to me, Billy.
Check, check, check. Test, 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 test. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello, hello.
All right, talking Michael Cohen on the hot seat yesterday, cross-examined by Trump's lawyers. And again, it's not televised, and we don't get the transcript until about 9 o'clock tonight. So we're relying on press reports of what happened yesterday. But would you vote to convict? Let's go to the phone lines. Paul, you're from Castle Rock. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. I have retired from law enforcement, and over the years, I did different jobs well in law enforcement. Towards the end of my career, I did a lot of training in the academy. And one of the things that we stressed to the new officers was integrity. And we would tell them, this agency will forget a lot of sins, but don't lie, because the prosecuting attorneys won't touch your testimony if you have been found a liar. And these defense attorneys, first thing they want to see is personnel records. If you've been, gotten into trouble over lying on a warrant or whatever. That guy's a liar. That lawyer's a liar. I wouldn't trust anything he said.
What about Bill's critique that there's other evidence out there that corroborates? There's the word I'm looking for. Corroborates what Michael Cohen is saying.
Well, how can they be taking him to court on a case that the people that are supposed to be handling that, the election commission, whatever the
Federal Election Commission, right?
Yes, sir. Wouldn't touch it. They said, that to me, this whole thing is like the duck. It smells like a duck, it looks like a duck, and it waddles like a duck. Billy keeps saying, well, where's the email that they're all putting this together? So this is all a coinkydink that these different Democratic DAs are trying to prosecute Trump for his lying, supposedly his involvement in causing January 6th and all that. I don't buy it. I guess I look at it as an investigator, and there's just too many things.
Paul,
my last...
what strikes me on this is historic. The first criminal case brought against a former president of the United States, forcing him, and now he's a candidate, but forcing him to sit in a dingy, cold courtroom. And it's about business records and how things were recorded in a ledger and how that may have affected a presidential election 2 presidential elections ago. That's where we ended up on this moment of history. That's the case that was brought. And not only that, even to Bill's point, who, Bill's no fan of Trump. At worst, from Bill's perspective, he thinks it's a misdemeanor. These guys have pushed it all the way to a felony. That's where we are. Then layer on top of that, he's the Republican nominee for president running in an active campaign. That's where it all just comes together as a circus for me.
Well, I had never, I'll be honest with you, I didn't like Trump when he first got started, but he did certain things, especially for the vets, that really I liked. Having lost a son-in-law in Iraq, and the kids that were with him that were wounded, the problems they had with the VA. But, I just think that this whole thing, there may not be a cabal, but there's some coordination going on, and it doesn't need an email. Why is Biden walking on the garbage he pulled?
What garbage?
Why did
garbage,
Hillary? But anyhow, I've got to go get my great grandson and
Paul, Castle Rock, I
corrupt him a
appreciate
little.
the call. Paul, appreciate the call. Paul
Again.
from Castle Rock. His line will be open 303-696-1971.
A lot of conclusions without any substance.
303-696-1971. Give us a call. Would you vote to convict Trump at this point, based upon the case and what you've learned? We'll get to that and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in Brussels, I'm Alex Cadier. Here are the top stories we're following. The Biden administration has announced it will ramp up tariffs on products being imported from China, including electric vehicle batteries, computer chips, and medical devices. President Biden said American workers can outwork and outcompete anyone, but that competition from China had been unfair for too long. Beijing has vowed to retaliate against the hikes, saying it will now take its own measures to protect China's economic interests. The new tariffs will apply to steel, aluminium, semiconductors, electric vehicles, critical minerals, solar cells, and cranes. Imports worth $18 billion. Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, was on the stand for a second day in the former president's hush money case in a New York courtroom, the first criminal trial of a U.S. president in history. Sally Patterson has more.
Michael Cohen says he violated his moral compass to save Donald Trump's skin, even lying to the media and regulators for him. Prosecutors tried to paint Trump's old lawyer as a loyal and obedient worker, just doing what Trump told him to when he allegedly paid $130,000 of hush money payment to adult movie star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. But the defense maintains that Cohen is a vindictive ex-employee who can't be trusted. In New York, Sally Patterson, Salem News Channel.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Alex Cadier in Brussels on Salem News Channel.
We'll get to You Choose the News in the 8 o'clock hour. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Good discussion. And I'd love to continue to have this, especially tomorrow and Friday. The Trump Manhattan case, could end up wrapping up by next week. Could end up with closing arguments starting as soon as next week. So it all depends on how many witnesses the defense is going to call. They've indicated possibly just one. A specialist on kind of election law. So
wait, no Trump?
That could be it. Probably not.
Well, he said he was going to testify, though. He told us he was going to.
Yeah, and then
why not?
Then his attorneys probably told him it's not a good idea.
It's weird.
Anyone who's watched those crime stories knows that it's never good for the defense to testify.
I know everyone thinks that I'm a lying rat bastard, but every time Trump has said that he is absolutely going to testify in court, never shown up. Never shown up. Just
hey, speaking of who did show up, Stephen Tubbs is in the studio. He's going to join us about his new documentary, Devastated. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Seven a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, center, and sometimes a little crazy. Beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard. loud and clear. So grab your coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up just after the news, Stephen Tubbs in studio. He's got a new documentary coming out, Devastated. You can watch the trailer at devastatedco.com, devastatedco.com. But it's about Colorado's fentanyl disaster. How did we get where we are? What is happening to families in Colorado, and what can we do about it? You get to hear from Stephen in the next, in this whole hour. So stick around. We'll get to the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning. That's going to be huge. Tell Steph and I said hello. 48 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting highs in the mid-60s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, flags will be at half staff across the country today for Peace Officers Memorial Day. The day honors those law enforcement who have fallen in the line of duty. It was first proclaimed in 1962 by President Kennedy. A Thornton police officer shot and killed a man after he fired shots in the Carpenter Rec Center parking lot on Tuesday. The man tried to evade an officer earlier. Could have been far worse. Thankfully, no one else was injured. The officer will be placed on administrative leave per department protocol. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston has announced the creation of the Office of Neighborhood Safety. The new office will focus on keeping the community safe without involving the police. The city will transfer $11 million and 65 employees from the Department of Safety to the new Office of Neighborhood Safety.
Now, if I was just plain John Doe, an ordinary citizen, were to see you making a U-turn, I'd have to make a citizen's arrest.
7 people recovering in the hospital following a multi-vehicle crash in Wheat Ridge Tuesday. Police say it happened when a driver ran a red light on Kipling, causing 3 vehicles to collide. Officials say the victims' injuries don't appear to be life-threatening. The Auraria campus put on lockdown for the second day in a row on Tuesday as Hamas supporters created more chaos. The protesters set up tents inside the Tivoli Student Union, and police say they began yelling, banging on trash cans, and trying to enter restricted parts of the building. A short time later, police told them to leave, but 12 of them remained and were issued summonses for trespassing and interference. The student union was closed Tuesday evening and will reopen today. Former President Trump's campaign derailment trial continues tomorrow. Florida's Byron Donalds, one of several Republicans there to support the former president.
This is a joke. It is a farce. It is a travesty. We are better than this as Americans. And unfortunately, the Democrat Party has lost their ever-loving minds. And so it's going to take the American people to remind them that justice is supposed to be blind. It is not supposed to be going after political opponents and political rivals.
President Biden is sharply raising tariffs on Chinese imports, including electric vehicles, semiconductors, and other goods. It's meant to counter China's unfair trade practices.
American companies are investing tens of billions of dollars in electric vehicles and batteries.
Wait a minute, did they say batteries?
American companies are investing tens of billions of dollars in electric vehicles and batteries.
I think so. 46 in Glendale, 44 in Castle Rock, 48 in Denver. Governor Polis signed 2 historic bills into law. One changes how Tabor refunds work. Instead of rebate checks, it lowers the state's income tax rate to 4.25%. The other gives homeowners a larger exemption and an average of $300 to $400 a year.
He is putting together a masterpiece. Another one.
Nikola Jokic scores 40, and the Nuggets beat up on the T-Wolves in Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals last night at Ball Arena. One more win, and they move on. The Rockies have won their 6th straight. What? 6-3 over the Padres. Avalanche take on the Stars, trying to avoid elimination tonight in Dallas. And Caitlin Clark, in her debut in the WNBA, scores 20, but her team does lose. And thank you, Robert De Niro, in his bubble, out of touch, on The View Tuesday, talking about Trump.
It's going to happen. If he gets elected, it's going to change this country for everybody. And they might think that it's going to make their life better, or they just want to, excuse my French, they just want to with the rest of the country. Literally.
And once you're out, you're out. There's no coming back.
Well, I would definitely like to stay inside the circle.
Stay in the circle with Robert De Niro. Jeff and Bill continue with Stefan coming up right now.
I just took my second bite and my mouth is now numbing up.
Yeah.
And I can't think.
You would be surprised how often we get that as a comment from listeners.
That is classic. I can't stop listening to that, man. That is so Billy is so quick, man. I can't keep up with his brain, man. And Tom was awesome yesterday. That was great. I went out and bought a case of those chips, by the way.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're awesome. They're all gone now. All right, Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast, cooler for Denver in the Front Range today. Will be in the 60s, and there's going to be some showers around. A couple of thunderstorms through evening. Low to mid-40s tonight. Sunny, warmer, and drier. Low to mid-70s and sunny and dry Thursday. Upper 40s Thursday night. We could be all the way to the low to mid-80s Friday. Friday, a bit breezy. Near 80 Saturday with an isolated thunderstorm. 70s and low 80s with late-day thunderstorms Sunday and Monday. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
The text messages are already coming in. Mr. Tubbs, your investigation of local issues is missed.
Oh.
I have no idea what Fat Tay is doing.
And good morning, Colorado. That's awesome.
Stephen Tubbs in the studio. He's got a new documentary, Devastated. It's about Colorado's fentanyl disaster. Here's the trailer.
Sunday, February 20, 2022. Address the location of your emergency, please.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Hey, officers, here, all of them.
Ma'am.
Oh.
There's no blood. There's no guns. There's no brain matter. There's none of that. The positions of the deceased, they died where they stood and fell to the ground exactly where they stood.
She was lying face down on her bed. I turned over and I started to see purple.
So here in Denver, we do about 1,000 autopsies a year. 2/3 at least involve fentanyl plus or minus other drugs.
It's one try and die, one pill and die, one line and die. It's Russian roulette with 6 bullets in the chamber.
It's not a red or a blue issue. It's a red, white, and blue issue. All Americans are being impacted.
I lost my 14-year-old son, Alexander, to fentanyl poisoning.
My daughter, Allie, she was always looking for the next thing she could conquer.
She will forever be missed. She's with us. She's everywhere. And she'll never leave here, so.
They found them lying side by side in their bed. My one son had his arm under his head, just like it was when I'd go in and kiss him goodnight and whisper, "I love you," in his ear. That's how they said they found him.
So DEA is laser focused on the 2 most powerful cartels in Mexico who are responsible for putting fentanyl on the streets of our country.
But this is just business to them. They're making billions of dollars. They don't care about a death.
My son, Devin, was murdered by fentanyl.
My daughter was murdered.
Jaden was absolutely murdered.
The status of the case is closed.
The Colorado laws on all of this is pure crap.
I really view the governor's efforts on fentanyl to be half-hearted at best.
I'm a very data-driven guy. If there was a state to figure this out, I'd be like, let's do that.
It needs to be fixed. It's just getting worse and worse.
The state legislature just has no interest in doing that.
It pisses me off. I've never encountered something in my law enforcement career where I felt like I was so overwhelmed.
The United States government is using every tool at its disposal to combat the fentanyl epidemic.
If I was someone looking for fentanyl,
You can easily find it.
Instagram, Craigslist.
Any school around here.
The whole time I was selling M30s, I did have someone I was going through that had pure fentanyl powder.
I'm already up to here with it. I'm done.
Wasn't even the full pill. It was half of one. That little amount she didn't wake up from.
There'll be nobody that's untouched by this.
These things will affect somebody you know, no matter where, no matter who. And it will be everybody's problem unless we start facing it head on.
That is the trailer Devastated, Colorado's fentanyl disaster, created by Stephen Tubbs, former host here on 710 KNUS. He joins us in studio. Stephen, thanks for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Jeff, Bill, thank you so much. You know, I have seen that trailer 750 times.
Yeah.
And I mean, approximately, right? I'm sitting here and I'm almost losing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because today is the day. And you guys, you know, being here, this is my radio family. This is my radio home. And we were talking about this in the final 3 or 4 months. People, I realize you're listening. You're probably like, good God, get this premiere over with. I'm sick of hearing about it. But the culmination of about 18 months worth of work it's today, tonight in Greeley. It's sold out. But you guys have been so awesome. I mean, the KNUS team, the KNUS listener, you listening, you've given this support. And I think it just hit me that after all of the times I've seen this trailer, after all of the work that we've done for these Colorado families that have been devastated by fentanyl, tonight is the night. And it's not just the premiere, Jeff. And I know I appreciate both of you guys sharing it on social media and talking about it so much and having me in a few times. It's not just that you need to be at the premiere in Greeley tonight or in the next few days across the state. Tonight at 7:00 Mountain Time online, this thing's available for free.
Tonight.
Wow. Tonight.
7:00.
Yep. DevastatedCO.com. And let me tell you, I don't have Crowley on this, so I'm crossing my fingers that all the technical stuff works tonight, but you'll be able, literally, you could be in Bangladesh if you had an internet connection. In 7:00 Mountain Time tonight, you can see this nearly 90-minute documentary film that is, to me, vitally important.
All right. So tell me the journey that the viewer is going to go on watching this.
The journey started here in this studio with our listeners here, your listeners now, my former, talking about fentanyl. When I had my show, for the last couple of years, it was every 2 to 3 weeks, there would be some kind of fentanyl story. There would be some kind of seizure. There would be death after death after death. Callers come, that just happened to my neighbor's sister's brother died, or what have you. The journey in the film, it starts February 20th, 2022. And that is the day that, at the time, the nation's worst mass fentanyl poisoning happened in Commerce City. The first 5 minutes leaves you breathless. It leaves me breathless, and I've seen this a lot in putting it together. From there, we get into the Drug Enforcement Administration and its efforts. But guys, the reason that I wanted to do this film, and my team is incredible, it's for the families. For the families. This knows no gender bias, no race, no socioeconomic barriers, rich people, poor people, homeless, whites, blacks, gays, straights, kids are dying. And it's because of two primary reasons. Well, the two are the Sinaloa cartel and the Jalisco New Generation cartel. And then we get into politics. And I'm telling you, there are going to be people, guys, that blow this off. They won't watch it because of my name, which I think is unfortunate. They're going to think they know what they're going to get. And it's just going to be all political. It's not. But it's not my fault or anyone else's. And most importantly, the victims and the family members of these Colorado victims. It's not our fault that this state has one party control. And we take you through, where did we get here? We did this with Denver and Decay, almost 4 years ago, amazingly. But what we do in this film is, you want to know why the laws are the way they are right now and why seemingly the victims are the drug peddlers of this poison? Well, we'll show you. We'll show you how we got here, starting just in 2019 with legislation. I came away with this. The Colorado state legislature really does not give two hoots about fentanyl or who it's killing.
No.
It just doesn't. And if that sounds crazy, and maybe you think that's opinion, would you look at the past 5 years? And you tell me. The one thing, guys, that I will say is, just like with Denver and Decay, people may not like it. People may not like me anymore, if they ever did. But it is not inaccurate. It is nearly 90 minutes of accurate reporting, and I hope to God that we can at least get somebody to have that talk. There are people, Jeff, I deal with now in my new career every day. They don't know what fentanyl is. They've never heard about it. And I think that means we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough on the air. We're not doing enough behind the scenes. The government's not doing enough. And yeah.
Well, I wanted to, there's so many ways I could go on this. Let's start first with who you talk to in the film. You talk with families, victims, people who have lost loved ones. You hear that in the trailer. My goodness, the one of the dad talking about his boy.
Matt Revere, Monument Dad.
Right, in the same position.
Lost both. Lost both of his sons.
Wow.
People are thinking that it's a Xanax. People are thinking that it's a Percocet. It's this, it's that. Matt is amazing. I can't say that there's any one of, there's no story that's more important.
Right.
But you bring up, Jeff, I mean, we're all parents here. I probably said once a month on my show for 6 years here on this radio station, when stories would come up, the one thing I cannot fathom would be losing a child.
Mm-hmm.
And while all of these stories are tragic, losing two in one night because at 4 a.m. they went and got a party drug, they thought. They're poisoned.
Yeah.
And we get into, I mean, there's just so much. And I just can't thank you both enough. And for you listening to give this film a shot. And I don't know, I've been asked a ton, what's your end game? The end game is you better pay attention.
Right.
And this is not fear mongering either. It's just, you can either have the talk with your kids and family and make sure that people at least know, or you can bury your head in the sand, which a lot of people in this state have done. And a lot of them are in elected positions.
And the talk is never, ever take a pill.
Ever.
That you
ever
aren't given by a doctor directly, right? I mean, essentially, or your parents. Don't ever take it, because you just don't know what's in it.
7 out of 10. This is DEA lab testing last year.
Yeah.
In 2020 or 2021, about 4 in 10, pills out there on the market were tested positive for a potential lethal dose of fentanyl.
Just any pill that was out there was just floating around with high school kids passing around.
Correct.
Wow.
As of last year, it's now 7 in 10. Now, would you play Russian roulette with a 10 bullet chamber with 4 in 10? No, I wouldn't. With 7 in 10?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the one thing that is unbelievable, this problem is only getting worse.
Wow.
Despite the amazing work on many different levels.
So that's another component. You talk to law enforcement directly.
We talk to law enforcement. We talk with elected officials. We talk with folks in recovery. We have a former Colorado drug dealer who's talking about peddling this stuff. We get into the China coming in, precursors coming in from China, manufactured in Mexico. These pills are 2-3 cents to make, pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, it's not the old heroin where you had to have fields of poppies.
It's a synthetic opioid,
right.
And that's why, Jeff, it is so cost effective, if you will. This is nothing. Why are they doing this? It's greed.
Yeah,
it is
right.
money. And these pills that are costing 2 and 3 cents to make, they are still in the Rocky Mountain region, possibly in certain spots. The farther north you get from the border, the more expensive they are. A fentanyl pill is averaging in Denver right now, this morning, at about $1 a pill. That doesn't seem like a lot until you realize, man, that costs 2 cents to make. 2 cents to $1. That's pretty good profit margin.
Shark Tank profit.
Keep going up. North. These could be $60 to $100 per pill on an Indian reservation. If you're in Missoula, Billings, Great Falls, if you're in Cheyenne, if you're in Casper.
Stephen, and we're talking about Stephen Tubbs. He's got a new movie, Devastated, that comes out tonight, 7:00. DevastatedCO.com. DevastatedCO.com. I know you're not a political leader. I know you can't necessarily get into policy solutions, but when I look at all this and I just go, I think the end of this road is when these drug dealers get the death penalty. I don't know. I don't know. That's like where I go. That's what it's going to take to finally get these guys to stop.
You must have been listening to the Stephen Tubbs show on KNUS 2019, 2020, 2021. Listen, I always said on this, and I know this is going to flip some people out. It probably did years ago when I would say it all the time. You want to cut down on auto theft? Steal a car, lose a hand. We'd see auto thefts drop. Right. I know, and I know that's just always my go-to. To your point, this state has treated these drug dealers and peddlers. We're talking low and mid-level. We've treated them like the victims. There are elected Democrats right now that just wrapped up a legislative session. They kill bills to get tougher on fentanyl in Colorado. They kill bills in committee that never even get to that point of being even debated. The problem is there are just 1,000 different tentacles. But one of them that we get into again is, to your point of the death penalty, these cases are incredibly hard to prosecute. And when law enforcement and the prosecutors are basically neutered,
yeah, right.
What do we expect as a society? So many people always say, you get the government you deserve.
That's exactly right.
I don't know. I can only tell you this: if there's not change, we're going to be here a year from today, and the film will be out a year, and we're going to be seeing continually record-setting deaths, not only in Colorado but in the country.
Do you think people are fed up enough? You did Denver and Decay. Now you did Devastated. Denver's a crap hole of a city right now.
I say Denver is still in decay, even more than it was in 2020.
Right. And 184 businesses shut. Mike Johnston's got to spend $500 million just to try to get those businesses back. Homeless, drug overdoses. Businesses won't go down there. People won't go down there. Do you think they're fed?
No,
in
people
your mind,
are not fed up enough.
They're not fed up enough.
Or the people that are fed up aren't doing enough.
Yeah.
And I know there's somebody driving to work this morning going, what the hell do you want me to do?
Right.
Maybe change the way you vote. Maybe change the way you vote. I'll give you, I don't know you have a break coming up, but there are two people in this film that it still boggles my mind that you can't disagree with someone politically, but think they're still a nice guy. I've said on this station for 6 freaking years. I've known Jared Polis 20 years. He's always been good to me. I told him personally multiple times, you need to be in this film. You need your voice in this film.
Yeah.
Guess who's not in this film?
Jeez. And I'm guessing you outreached to him, right? You sent requests?
Many. Yeah. Personal texts, emails. I won't give it away since you'll be able to see the film tonight online for free. I won't give you what his office finally told us in as to the reason why he's not in the film. And the other guy I just saw within the last 2 weeks, a guy he sat in this chair that I'm in right now when he was on the campaign trail wanting to be the next mayor of Denver. Mike Johnston, I've known for 15 years. Texted him personally. I have a text from last August when I told him, again, this was like almost off the record. I'm like, dude, you need to be in this film. You need to be in this film multiple times. The kids, I believe, call it ghosting.
Yeah, right.
The Denver mayor told me via text, yes, I will absolutely be in this film. Let's set it up. Well, I was still working here in August of last year. August, September, October, November 3rd is when I left. Ghosted. Nothing. Wow. So you tell me if they think it's a priority. If the governor of Colorado thought fentanyl was a priority, he knows he may not like my politics. I don't like his, but he had to know that I would have treated him fairly.
You know what I've noticed about that crew, and I've seen it on pot too. It's when it finally affects them. So when there was a lawmaker from Boulder whose kid got into marijuana use and it just wrecked his brain, and she became part of a Democrat, became part of this effort to like rein in high potency pot in Colorado. Let's study it. Let's see what this stuff. That's what I found about these elites, man. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, until it hits their kids or their families, it's somebody else's problem.
Why isn't this a priority for the president of the United States?
Yeah, seriously.
If we have the equivalent of a 737, 747 going down every day in the fentanyl deaths. That's the equivalent. If we had that death toll, and it's not all, I will admit, and we get to this in the film, it's not all, oh God, Johnny thought he was buying a Percocet off the streets. There are people that, and the Denver Medical Examiner is just brilliant in the film. And he talks about 70% of the deaths that they're doing involving drug overdoses, 70% are fentanyl related. But he also busts the myth, if you will, that it was just Johnny looking for a Percocet. This is so addictive. It's 50 times more addictive. Fentanyl is 50 times more addictive than heroin.
No way.
Fentanyl is 100 times more powerful than morphine. 2 milligrams. That's the equivalent of about 3 or 4 grains of salt is a potential fatal dose.
Jeez. Wow.
And if you have 1,000 pounds of fentanyl powder, that's a lot of granules, a lot of death.
Talking with Stephen Tubbs. He's got a new documentary out today, Devastated. You can watch it tonight, 7:00, devastatedco.com, devastatedco.com. We'll continue this conversation. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in Brussels, I'm Alex Cadier. Here are the top stories we're following. Donald Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, was on the stand for a second day in the former president's hush money case in a New York courtroom, the first criminal trial of a U.S. president in history. Sally Patterson has more.
Michael Cohen says he violated his moral compass to save Donald Trump's skin, even lying to the media and regulators for him. Prosecutors tried to paint Trump's old lawyer as a loyal and obedient worker, just doing what Trump told him to when he allegedly paid $130,000 of hush money payment to adult movie star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. But the defense maintains that Cohen is a vindictive ex-employee who can't be trusted. In New York, Sally Patterson, Salem News Channel.
The Biden administration has announced it will ramp up tariffs on products being imported from China, including electric vehicle batteries, computer chips, and medical devices. President Biden said American workers can outwork and outcompete anyone, but that competition from China had been unfair for too long. Beijing has vowed to retaliate against the hikes, saying it will now take its own measures to protect China's economic interests. The new tariffs will apply to steel, aluminium, semiconductors, electric vehicles, critical minerals, solar cells, and cranes. Imports worth $18 billion. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Alex Cadier in Brussels on Salem News Channel.
The 710 5-day forecast.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. In studio, Stephen Tubbs. Here's some of the text messages coming through, Stephen. Miss your voice, love you, and praying for you. Praying for this documentary's power. Janet from Casper. It is fine to say how cheap it is to make. This is another text message, but how much does it cost to develop? Do you want to answer that question?
How much does it cost to
develop the drugs? You said 2 cents.
Oh,
right?
it's nothing.
2 cents.
It's nothing. 2 to 3 cents a pill. And the manufacturer, Jeff, I've seen photos. This is not pharmaceutical grade here. We're talking the fentanyl. I've seen it in a rusty metal drum, 55-gallon drum, being stirred by folks in a cow pasture. This is not pharmaceutical grade. By the way, fentanyl used legitimately has been around for decades, and it is amazing. But if you have a procedure, you're dealing with micro doses. That's why the doctors, the anesthesiologists, they want to know your height, your weight,
right,
your medical history. This stuff is being, there was one, I don't want to spend time on this, but it's so ridiculous, I got to say it. I got information that there were certain factions of a Mexican drug cartel mixing this poison that's killing Americans every single hour. And they thought, as they're mixing, if they drank a certain type of beer, that would make them immune from the fentanyl dust when they were stirring it. We're not talking about your most educated people. And the sad thing is, Jeff, a segue is we are talking about highly educated men and women and kids who are dying because of this poison.
Let's talk about so he's got a documentary coming out today, Devastated. If you go to devastatedco.com, you can watch this documentary. The trailer's on there now, but it will be live tonight, 7 p.m. Let's talk about these cartels. How are they operating in this state?
The two primary cartels in Colorado are the Sinaloa and the Jalisco New Generation. It's also known as CJNG. How it operates, how they operate is, it comes up. We also get into this in the film, by the way. People are maybe wondering, do you talk about the border issue? The border issue is one element of this, but the drug cartels are manufacturing this. We've established 2 to 3 cents a pill. The farther north it goes, the more the pill is. They're more potent and deadly than ever. But getting it here, then the Mexican cartels, I will give them this. They're brilliant business people. They control areas. They control portion. I mean, they're in Colorado. People are like, oh, no, they're not. No, this is something that's only an Arizona, Texas, and California issue. No, cartels are in every state in this country. But they get it, and oftentimes they'll get in with gangs. The money is laundered by Chinese money laundering organizations. It is complex, but really it's also so simple. Precursor chemicals coming from China. Mexico's president, we have a couple of sound bites from him in the film, denying that there's any fentanyl production in Mexico, that we don't do this here. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. President, but that's not true. And then it'll come up any way, shape, or form. Again, the border is just one of the many factors in this absolute epidemic. And you had brought up, Jeff, a couple of minutes ago about somebody in Boulder with marijuana. The difference here is it is one pill and die. One pill can kill. One try and you are rolling the dice. And back to the film, more than anything, we did it for the families. And these families are unbelievable. Imagine the absolute worst case scenario you can ever imagine, and you'll never get over that grief. I guess you move on in ways to try to cope and still survive, but you'll never be the same. And for these families to sit down with my team and to share their worst moments, Why did they do it? Every one of them in different settings told me basically the same thing. They hope that their grief is never experienced by another Colorado family.
I want to talk about the kind of trajectory of the drug culture. You and I were probably both young people when we were in DARE.
Yep.
I did
Just
DARE.
Say No.
You know,
and
Just
Dare.
Say No and all that stuff. We're kind of back. I mean, the message is just say no. Say no to the pill. Obviously, you know, DARE wrapped into marijuana and all that other stuff, which, you know, I have strong feelings about. But what drove me crazy about what happened was we went from a strong cultural push against drug use in the 80s and 90s to, well, mid 90s to kind of meh. It was oversold. You could probably smoke pot and be okay. And, and then pot became legalized. But there was a big shift in, I mean, we almost bounced back entirely the other direction to, do what you want, take what you want, and all that stuff.
Jeff, I think part of it is the toleration level. You know, there's also a thing, I think it's right here in Colorado as well with fentanyl, is this feeling of maybe being impervious, right? Well, that really sucks for that family, but my son isn't an addict.
Yeah.
Your son doesn't have to be an addict. He can be clubbing and get a pill on the dance floor. Want to feel good? What is this? You got any blues? You know, maybe on the dance floor, it's $5 or $10 a pill in Denver. But it's the difference between the Just Say No and the war on drugs and Nancy Reagan and DARE is those things weren't going to kill you with one use. Marijuana, we were told, and it's going to ruin your brain. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. Heroin is horrible. I mean, we haven't even talked, the methamphetamine problem in this state is out of control and nobody talks about it. Wow. No, it's just, it's just crazy. I mean, we just want to inform. And before I forget, I just want to say to my team, our executive producer, Jim Fasone, our writer, Pat Woodard, who I've worked with on many, many films. He's an incredible talent. Chris Silva, our editor, Harold Caceres, lead videographer, Chris Shaleen. My son did a lot of research. I was so happy to have him a part of the project. And this would not have been possible without Steve Wells. Steve Wells, it took him less than 24 hours for me saying, would you ever be interested in possibly providing the funds so I can pay my team? And it was less than 24 hours. And he's just incredibly generous. He's incredibly concerned. He's labeled as that, crazy conservative up in Weld County, but I'm telling you, he's got a heart of gold. And without him, none of this would have been possible. And
I want to ask you this.
I just want to say thanks.
Final question here. I know you've got to run. You poured your heart and soul into this. A lot of money's gone into this. A lot of people have worked on this. What is the one thing that comes from this that you go, it was worth all that I put into it?
It's going to sound corny. Are you ready? There will be a time in the next month, week, 6 months, maybe a year. There's going to be a time when I get an email from someone I don't know, and it says something to the effect of, and I'm hoping this, by the way, I had no idea. I had never heard of fentanyl, and I had the talk with my family. That's what I hope happens, because one discussion could be the difference between you having a tough you thought the birds and I've said this a lot. You thought the birds and the bees, that was a tough conversation with your kids. You would rather have that tough conversation than plan your child's funeral. And though I'm not representing anyone but me and Mountain Time Media as we speak, I now work with one of the greatest human beings I've ever worked with. And he says, One pill can kill, one conversation can save. And if you don't think that it's going to happen to your family, if you're coming to one of the premieres and you have the opportunity to talk with one of the family members featured in this film, they would have been you. This happens to someone else. And it can happen to your family. And I do want to say, Jeff, the film is not just completely doom and gloom. I mean, I hope that people are educated as to, again, as we mentioned earlier in the hour, how we got here politically, why things are, why is this a political issue? This is not a political issue. As Derek Maltz, just an amazing former DEA special agent in charge of the Special Ops Division, he's the one that says this is not a red or blue issue. This is a red, white, and blue issue. And if you care about your family, and who doesn't, you need to be aware of this because it's right outside your door. And I hope that this film sheds some light, sparks a conversation. I hope it pisses people off. But I cannot thank you guys enough. This is the most important thing I've ever done in my life. Besides becoming a father, this is the most important thing. I'll die. I said this when I was sitting in your chair for many years. This is the hill I will die on. I'll die on the hill for our veterans. I'll die on the hill for our country. I think that goes without saying, but I will die on this hill. And if not us, if it's not for KNUS, if it's not for the people I've finally convinced cashing in some favors to be on other media, if not us, who? And we need to be real with ourselves. And I can't thank you enough.
Stephen Tubbs, former 710 KNUS host and director, writer, producer.
I wasn't the writer.
Devastated
I wasn't the writer. Pat Woodard is the writer.
Pat is Pat.
Tonight, 7:00.
7:00. You can watch it online, devastatedco.com.
Yeah, link will be in the podcast.
Devastatedco.com.
We'll put the podcast up. The link is going to be there. So you can
Great.
find it there.
And you know what, guys? I mean, how about there's not a seat remaining in the four.
Wonderful.
In
listen
Greeley,
to this.
Greeley, Lakewood, Boulder, and Colorado Springs.
All sold out. So you're not going to be able to see it in a theater, at least on this initial run. I don't know. Would you guys go into additional theaters?
That's when I come to Daddy Salem. Hey,
Yes.
you want to put up some
Exactly.
bucks?
Yeah.
Why this? I'll throw this a little mini bomb and then I'll go. How come this won't be on Salem Now? That video service stream, right? Come on.
It should be.
I'll put it anywhere and everywhere and talk about this 24/7.
Let's do it.
Love you guys.
I think that'd be great. Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to talk to you all folks about the Colorado Farm Bureau. Whether you pulled out your skis or snowmobiles this last winter, it was a great year for winter fun, but the snow means even more to Colorado agriculture. And I want you to know that our state's farmers and ranchers are doing their part to protect our future water resources. The people of Colorado agriculture continue improving the efficiency of their irrigation systems and adopting farming practices that help crops use less water to grow. They're planting drought-resistant varieties, and they're leading talks with state policymakers about how to preserve water supplies when we have good years like this last one. My friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau are leaders in water conservation and water policy. They understand how to balance water for crops and water for families, and they're doing more with less. You can do your part. I recommend you join and become a member today. Go to coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com. We'll continue with this conversation. Give us a call. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
conversation with Stephen Tubbs, who joined us in studio. You probably remember that name. He was on 710 KNUS 6 years. Afternoon host, 710 KNUS. Lots of love coming on the text messages from him, 5311. God bless you, Stephen. Tell Steph that I talk every time he is talking about that. I make my kids listen. Oh, when he's so the big thing that Stephen is promoting right now, he's got a documentary out called Devastated. It'll be released tonight. All 4 screenings, live ones, Boulder, Colorado Springs, Greeley, and Lakewood, totally sold out. You can't just show up. Registration sold out, but he will release it online tonight, 7:00. Go to devastatedco.com. You can watch it there. That was fun to have him back in, Bill.
Yeah, that was. It was nice to see him.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And I do miss all that coverage of Tay Anderson.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I miss that too.
I don't know. Tay's not elected anymore, though. He's running a nonprofit somewhere,
yeah,
right?
Of course he is. And the profit is all his. Yes, of course it is.
In the 8:00 hour, speaking of corrupt political leaders, Mike Johnston has announced he is creating a racial and social equity public safety office. Yeah, sure. We're number 3 in the nation when it comes to criminal activity in the state of Colorado. So what does the mayor of Denver do? He goes and creates a DEI office. The new office was created with community input. City officials said, because that makes it better. But some community organizers have pushed back, saying their ideas were co-opted. No, it's my racial grift that I came up with, and you're taking credit for it. You'll never believe this. $11 million and 65 employees are being transferred from the Department of Public Safety to the Office of Social Equity and Innovation.
Why wasn't that under the Office of Public Safety? Why is it a new office? I don't understand that, because that's their goal is still public safety. Why are we taking them out of the umbrella of public safety and creating an entirely new department? Is it just because we have to with bureaucracy in the government?
Feel good. This is pure liberal feel good.
It's functionally. I'm just talking. And again, drink for that one. The idea of why do you have to do it this way? This to me is just an example of government creating more bureaucracy, which they do on both sides. They create these extra investigations and extra offices and extra. They
literally called it a strategic reallocation of resources.
Oh, crap. I got something in strategically relocation.
Denver, just when you think it couldn't get any worse, of course it does. We'll cover this and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
8 a.m. in the Mile High City, and we are having a ton of fun this morning on the Jeff and Bill Show. Joining us in the last hour was Stephen Tubbs. Man, it's great to see that guy. He's got a new documentary out today. DevastatedCO.com. DevastatedCO.com. Good morning. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show. I'm Jeff Hunt, co-host along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, center, and sometimes a little loony. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for another hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. Phone lines are open. Give us a call. What's on your mind? 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Text us on the 710 KNUS app. Grab your coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Let's begin with Blake Olson's news. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Bill, 51 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting highs in the mid-60s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
Location of your emergency, please. Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
It all started February 20th of 2022, and the worst mass fentanyl poisoning in the country in Commerce City, and Stephen Tubbs has made it his mission to raise awareness. Devastated premieres tonight in Greeley. Go to devastatedco.com. Steph, on with Jeff and Bill.
I'm sitting here and I'm almost losing it. Guys, the reason that I wanted to do this film, and my team is incredible, it's for the families. For the families. This knows no gender bias, no race, no socioeconomic barriers, rich people, poor people, homeless, whites, blacks, gays, straights, kids are dying.
Once again, go to devastatedco.com. Incredible work, Stephen, and the entire team. A lot of Castle Pines residents are without water this morning. There's an issue with the local water line that some residents learned last night. The line ruptured while the district was connecting a new line to the existing system. President Biden is challenging former President Trump to debate him. Wow. They are desperate. Biden threw down the gauntlet on social media today, claiming Trump lost 2 debates to him in the run-up to the 2020 election. Now he's asking Trump to pick the dates for 2 more. He said he hears Trump is free on Wednesdays. That's a good one, because the trial is off on Wednesday. Vivek Ramaswamy was one of several Republicans in New York to support Trump on Tuesday.
Something more depressing than the environment of that courtroom is what's actually happening in there. It's straight out of a Kafka novel. The prosecution's main strategy appears to be to bore the jurors into submission. And if you look in that direction, sadly, it may appear to actually be working. Now, I would like for anybody here in the press, anybody at home, anybody in MSNBC or the media afterwards, to clearly state what exactly is the crime that Donald Trump committed.
Waiting to hear back from Trump. Flags will be at half staff across the country today for Peace Officers Memorial Day. The day honors those in law enforcement who have fallen in the line of duty. A Thornton police officer shot and killed a man after he fired shots in the Carpenter Rec Center parking lot Tuesday. The man tried to evade an officer earlier. Could have been far worse. Thankfully, no one was injured. The officer will be placed on administrative leave per department protocol. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston has announced the creation of the Office of Neighborhood Safety. The new office will focus on keeping the community safe without involving police.
Ordinary citizen were to see you making a U-turn, I'd have to make a citizen's arrest.
The city, that is, will transfer $11 million and 65 employees from the Department of Safety to the new Office of Neighborhood Safety. The Auraria campus put on lockdown for the second day in a row on Tuesday as Hamas supporters created more chaos. The protesters set up tents inside the Tivoli, and police say they began yelling, banging on trash cans. They tried to enter restricted parts of the building. A short time later, police told them to leave, but 12 of them remained and were issued summonses for trespassing and interference. Former President Trump's campaign derailment trial continues tomorrow, by the way. If you're wondering, I think I said that earlier. It's 47 in Boulder, 49 in Aurora, and 51 in Denver.
As they defend their championship, they beat the Timberwolves at home in Game 5, 112-97.
Jokic scores 40, and the Nuggets beat up on the T-Wolves in Game 5, Western Conference semifinals. They only need one more win to move on. Rockies win 6 straight. Getaway day today in San Diego, 6-3. They win yesterday, and the Avs take on the Stars, trying to avoid elimination tonight in Dallas. Caitlin Clark scores 20 in her debut with her new team, but she loses her first WNBA game. And finally, is Whoopi on drugs?
If he becomes president again, he's never listen. He's not going to not stop being president. You understand this? Yeah. His idea is to stay in until he drops dead.
That's it. He's not even conceding it now.
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen.
What did he ever say to make them believe that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
He didn't leave last time. I'm not going to get into any discussion, but that's the issue.
Gotcha. No, I got you. So because he didn't want to leave. Okay, I got it. But if they just wanted... They just would have had.
He's not in office right now.
I know he's not there. I think he's in court and he can't talk.
Right, he's in court.
Can't talk.
But that was only because his scheme didn't work. I mean, he was one person away from it working. No, he was one person away.
From
so
Mike
that's
Pence?
why. Yeah, he was one person away from it working. If Mike Pence would have said, we have too many confusions about the votes. We've got to throw it back to the state legislators. And again, oddly, they only picked the state legislators that they said were confusing and were run by Republicans, ensuring what they knew the vote was going to be.
Donald
That's what
Trump
was going to happen.
And that makes Donald Trump want to stay in office forever until he dies.
No, that's what they're
that's what Whoopi just said.
I know, but they're coming to the conclusion based on the fact that he didn't want to leave it the first time. Plus, if he is in office, he doesn't get charged with any crimes.
That is just so
there's two things there.
Stupid. I mean, why would you think he wants to be in there for eight years? Or
12
16,
years,
12, whatever.
Maybe you know what? You know what? If maybe he gets in there for 12 years, he won't take any media requests. Oh wait, no, that's Joe Biden. Maybe he'll go to bed at 4:00, just eat ice cream, and be president for life. Oh wait, we already have one.
Batteries. I had to throw it in there. He just wants to leave after 4 more years and hopefully save the country. Yeah, that's my answer to that.
That's what I think.
He didn't leave last time, so I'm not sure that his previous behavior.
He's not there right now. I love this idea that he didn't leave. He's not there now.
No, but did he foment a plan in order to stay in office?
No.
Yes, he did.
I don't think so.
Yes, he did.
No, he was outside.
We have a list. We have a list of the steps in the plan that was put forward the day after.
I don't believe
election.
that. I don't believe that.
Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, but the fake electors say something different.
Well, he thought
Mike
the
Pence
election
says something
was rigged.
different.
Yes.
No, Mike Pence says something different. John Eastman says something
I don't
different. We
believe
have a long
Mike
list
Pence
of people.
further than I could throw in.
But Mike Pence didn't do the thing. So again, he fomented a plan to try and not leave office. Okay, you guys can say yes.
I think
he
waited
did,
as long as he could, and then he saw the process.
He wanted to challenge the election results. That somehow the leap from that to he's going to be a forever dictator that stays in office until he drops dead.
Could we imagine?
That's a leap, man.
Could there be a scenario that after the election, let's say Trump's in office, and at the election at the end, he says there are issues with the election and there's too much confusion, and so he can't leave office yet because we don't know who the actual.
Here's what I have. Here's what I have. Here's what I have to say to that.
Jeff, but concerned about results. He's concerned about it. Oh,
numbing up.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you guys, I'll leave you alone. Jeff and Bill continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS. Denver weather.
All right, you're clear.
Denver in the Front Range
Thanks,
today.
man.
It'll be in the 60s, and there's going to be some showers around. Thunderstorms through evening. Low to mid 40s tonight. Sunny, warmer, and dry.
Sunny,
warmer, and dry. Low to mid 70s Thursday. Upper 40s Thursday night. We could be all the way to the low to mid 80s Friday. Friday, a bit breezy. Near 80 Saturday with an isolated thunderstorm, 70s and low 80s with late day thunderstorms Sunday and Monday. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Programs. I just have this view of him dressed a little bit like Perry Will with that fur coat and that hat down at the state capitol and just cruising the streets of Denver. This from the Gazette. Denver mayor creates racial and social equity public safety office. The new office was created with community input, city officials said, with some community organizers have pushed back saying their ideas were co-opted. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston on Monday, he must have done this while he was in Ireland because he's there all the way till Friday. Maybe he did it before he took off. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston on Monday announced the creation of a new office tasked with tackling public safety, but with a pronounced shift away from law enforcement and an emphasis on racial and social equity. The new office of neighborhood, I love the fact that the Gazette is calling him out that he wants to tackle public safety by moving away from law enforcement. Oh, my goodness. All right. The new office of neighborhood safety brings together 4 major city programs, including the support team, assisted response, and youth safety programs under one office, which seeks to keep communities safe in ways that Johnston said don't require law enforcement. The question I have after reading that is, who in the world are you going to pay to go try to keep communities safe without having all the tools of law enforcement? It's like walking into downtown Denver with a straw or something and being like, best of luck, buddy. Go keep those drug dealers. Go get them under control. The fentanyl problem, we just had Stephen Tubbs here in studio. Go get that problem with the Sinaloa cartel under control. Don't have any law enforcement. They continue. Denver officials didn't describe in detail what the daily operations in the new office would look like. Of course not. Or what its specific responsibilities would be. But in creating the new office, the Johnston administration signaled it's viewing public safety through the lens of racial and social equity. Bill, you're more on the independent side than I am. Do you think racial and social inequity contributes to crime?
Yeah, sure it does.
How so?
Poverty, access
and
to services.
That's based on racial inequity? Or social inequity?
Social, yeah. There would be social inequity.
Poor people are more likely to commit crimes than rich people?
In general, yeah, usually. There's different levels, but usually crime is concentrated in poor areas. And normally based on poor people. And sometimes, and in our country, sometimes that falls along racial lines. Yes. Yeah. They're more likely to have certain minority communities to be poor than other racial communities in America. That's extant right now. That exists. I disagree with the conclusion that Johnston's drawing, but I also disagree with the premise of your question, the idea that this is only based on racial and social issues. There are other ones. In fact, we talked about it the other day where in this country, someone would much rather be born as a minority than be born poor and white. That's an issue. Poor that's the great leveler in this idea as far as the crime. Absolutely. That's been true for a long time. I mean, we do have instances of higher crime, and we can talk about that as far as white collar crime, or unless the guy's running for president, then we can't talk about it at all because it's not true. It doesn't matter. But the idea being we don't address it that way. And we also tend to focus on the lower level and more immediate crimes as being a bigger deal than someone doing a white collar crime. I always say that if you don't want to be held accountable for your stealing, you just have to steal from enough people. If you steal from 4 or 5 people in your neighborhood, you're probably going to go to jail. You open a bank and steal from 10,000, we'll wipe that away. We'll take care of you. So it's just a matter of
don't you
degrees.
think viewing the world this way in social and racial inequities provide some form of cover for them to be able to do the crime? Like, because you're poor, you're probably going to steal more. So we need to address the social inequity as opposed to just saying, don't steal.
Well, here's the thing. What is the reason the person is stealing? I think that's the question that we should be asking.
But it doesn't matter if you're trying to look. No one's stealing bread out there. They're stealing shoes from Neiman Marcus.
No, but again, it matters. Why? Again, those in individual cases, rarely do we have that type. Normally, it's some sort of a group that is organized when they have those large scale and high end crimes. Things like we saw recently, a lot of those smash and grabs. They were organized by a woman that was involved in the PTA. White woman in her 40s, have been involved in it in 10 years. Organizing criminal gangs to go in and do smash and grabs. And again, so the idea that what we're seeing and them going in and taking, and again, it's interesting you focused on going in and stealing the high-end shoes rather than stealing the car from the person in the neighborhood, rather than breaking into the house that's in the neighborhood.
Either of those is a problem.
What's the reason? And that's the idea, is until we address the reason. So I see why they talk about social and racial inequity for looking for causes and reasons, but I don't think that is the solution. I do think it has to be part of the conversation, because the conversation has to be why. Why is the person doing it? Just like with your child. When your child is doing something is misbehaving, or even another teenager, another adult.
I don't ask why. I just tell them to stop doing it.
No,
it's
you
wrong.
need to understand. But
there is right and wrong.
But you understand why.
No. And look, so look, Walmart, Mike Kaufman was talking about this the other day, mayor of Aurora. Walmart is shutting down because theft is so bad in their communities that they're just gone. They're just gone. This is not a social inequity thing. This is a right or wrong thing.
Let me give you an example.
Because I know plenty of poor people in my life, including my family members, that came from very poor, humble means and didn't steal and were able to build successful lives.
I understand, and they broke out of that stereotype.
Yes.
But there's a reason the stereotype exists, and it's sad. But the crime is more concentrated under poor. And asking the why, the example I'll give you is going back to when my young daughters were fighting all the time. And it was always this person doing this to me, this. Why? The issue was because they were sharing a room. It had to do with the social and economic environment they were in at the time. We separated them, and the relationship got 110% better. And that was the why behind. I could yell at them. I could
separate the rich and poor.
But the issue is this. I'm using this as an analogy. What I'm telling you is, I could have yelled at them and gotten mad and punished them about the fight. And if I didn't understand the reason they were fighting, they would still be fighting. That's why I'm telling you the why is important. You discount the why. I'm just going back to the why.
Because
the why is important.
I think when you fall into this type of thinking, it doesn't ever actually solve the problem. The very clear problem that should be espoused from the city of Denver and from law enforcement is, racial equity, whatever, social inequity, whatever. This is about right and wrong. And if you get busted stealing, I don't care if you live in Cherry Hills, or I don't care if you live in Aurora and you're stealing from the Walmart, you're going to get busted. You want to address crime? It's not building a DEI office in the city of Denver. It is actually policing and holding people accountable for the laws we have on our books.
It's weird for me to hear you adopt what I would assume is in what I call a very Democrat or liberal approach.
Interesting.
And what I mean by that is, you're deciding that the way that we can fix this is based on law. That's how we fix it.
Law and order?
Yeah.
That's a Democrat issue?
Hang on a sec. I didn't say law and order. I said law. Okay.
Right.
Hang on. We're going to focus on that term. And what I mean by that is, you're saying, well, the stealing is wrong. And because it's wrong, we now have to punish you. Okay. So now what the Democrats are going to do is change the law on stealing. And that's what they did. Remember the fentanyl? They were mad. The Democrats were mad about everybody getting put in jail for all the drug crimes. So what did they do? They lowered the drug crimes.
Right.
So what they did is they changed the law. It didn't become illegal anymore, and it became allowed. So for you, It's just the fact that it's against the law. If we change the law, then we're fine.
We make it tougher and we make the punishment
but
harder.
We can make it. We can also change it the other direction. We can lessen it. And now those people aren't committing the stealing crimes because they're no longer stealing. You're doing the Phil Weiser thing. You're saying they're allowed to steal.
I don't get that at all.
I understand.
Sorry,
you
man. I don't
understand.
get it
But
at
what I'm saying is that because you're discounting the why is it happening, and because you're because you're setting your table on the law alone, it is ineffective and won't get you to the goal that you want because you can change the law. And what I mean by that is if we're mad about everybody stealing cars and we're mad about it, if we just change it so that you're allowed to steal 2 cars, there we go. There we go. That no longer would be a punishment, and that would then be allowable based on your premise earlier.
No, my premise is to make things tougher. I don't know how we got into more cars.
No, but the issue is your thing.
Flying right by me here.
I know I am, because your issue is you're hanging your hat on the issue of the law because the law says this, and I'm like, no, we have to understand the wrong.
Prosecute the law. Prosecute the lawbreakers.
The law can be changed. That's the weakness in your argument. That's it. You cannot get to your goal that you espouse simply by saying we need to do this with the law. You can't get there because you can change the law and you can't accomplish your goal. And the Democrats can change the law.
Countries that are very strict on drugs. So let's go back to the conversation we had with Stephen Tubbs, right? Like I said that the only thing that's eventually going to address this fentanyl epidemic is if you put the drug dealers and the cartels on death row. Yeah. That's it. And that's the only thing that's going to address this.
We did those harsh sentencing laws in the 80s and 90s.
And we didn't have a fentanyl problem.
No. Did it stop the drug? Did it stop illegal drug trafficking?
It's not as bad as it was now.
Well, we didn't have
drug overdoses weren't as bad.
We didn't have fentanyl in the same
but
cases
you had heroin,
that we were
you had
then.
meth, you had all that stuff.
But it didn't stop the drug trade, and people still died, and you still had it. In fact, it grew in many areas. Yeah, it was. It's
not nearly as bad as 80s drug issues are as bad as they are now. No way. It's gotten way worse.
I disagree. I disagree. And again, we'd have to talk about how we're evaluating that. But I'm looking at the idea of the number of illegal drugs, how they were treated, people being prosecuted for them being put into jail. It didn't stop it from existing, nor did it prevent it from happening. And that's why there was this swing back the other direction, because it didn't work. We declared war on drugs and we lost. That's it. So declaring war on drugs a second time, I fail to see how it's going to work.
It's an ongoing war. It's like a war on rape. You're never going to actually get rid of it, but you got to take it more seriously.
You can't declare war on an idea. That's the problem with it. You have to declare war on something. It has to be an object.
Drug dealers. Put them in jail. All right. I want to talk to you about Ultra Botanica. We all want a kinder, gentler way to experience wellness and overcome pain. I'm thriving and fighting back my workout soreness with UltraCur. UltraCur is a patented, non-prescription natural capsule that works fast. Surveys show that 50% of people using UltraCur find relief within 48 hours, and half of those within 2 hours. Experience UltraCur for free. Go to any Denver Metro natural grocers and ask for the health coach or the vitamin manager for your free 3-day trial of UltraCur. A lot of those other Curcumin products, you got to pay ahead of time. They believe so much in their product, they'll give you a free 3-day trial that you can get yourself. Just head to the Denver Metro Natural Grocers and ask for the health coach or the vitamin manager. If you're curious about it, wondering about the research, you can get the lowdown at getultranow.com. That's getultranow.com. Get curious, Denver. Head to the Natural Grocers. Grab your free 3-day UltraCur trial. No strings attached. Here's what I'd love to know from the listeners at 710 KNUS. Mike Johnston, mayor of Denver, has created this new Racial and Social Equity Public Safety Office. Is this going to actually address the crime problems we're facing in this state? Here's what they say about it. Here's the point of it. They want to address the social inequities. The mission is of the Social Equity Office as overseeing efforts to eliminate social inequity and race and social injustices by evaluating institutional and structural government systems, policies, and practices to dismantle racism. If we create this office, are we actually going to make the city of Denver safer? Give me a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the 710 KNUS app. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
right, we're talking on the Jeff and Bill. The Denver mayor creates a racial and social equity public safety office. He's spending $11 million. He's transferring 65 people because he believes that crime in Colorado and public safety is rooted in racial and social inequity. A lot of text messages coming in here. People going, well, give them a pass. There's been 200 years favoring the rich and destroying the middle class in this country, rampant racism. My response to that is, I remember reading that in the Bible. Thou shalt not steal if other people have oppressed you, other people have more than you, other people have been unkind to you. This doesn't exist in the Bible. There's this bigotry of low expectations among the poor and of different races that exists in this idea that somehow you have permission to steal because life hasn't been fair to you.
I disagree with the idea that you have permission to steal, but I still say that the why is important to understand the why, because you're not going to be able to solve the problem unless you understand the why in any situation. I mean, you can always continue to, patch the roof, but if you don't understand why the roof is leaking, then can't help you on that one. That's kind of the issue. And so the why, what are the structures and what are the things in place? Because as you accurately pointed out, not all the poor people steal. Not all the poor minorities steal. Yeah. Right. So it is not. So again, it is not universal. So the idea is why? Why in those situations? And the same question we ask about, and someone talked about it in the text messages as well, going back to gun laws, gun rights, and school shootings. We have a whole series of gun laws that should, in theory, prevent school shootings. Yes. So far, wildly ineffective. And so the idea of, and we always talk about the idea of, and the idea of going in and layering in more laws and things don't necessarily always exist or help. And not only do we not enforce some of those laws, we also have a large group of people that want to roll them back. And so none of those things are going to get us to the safer school shootings, safer schools. And all these laws that we do have aren't stopping it from happening either. So the idea that we just say, well, law will solve our problems. That's why I'm saying the why. The why is important. And I don't think that Mike Johnston's office there does anything to deal with the why. Then not at all. There isn't a single thing that they are doing with that new office that is going to address the why. And we know this because even he doesn't know what the office is going to do. They have no idea what the purview is, what the programs are, what the outreach is going to be. They just create this office and then we'll see what happens. This is crap. This is government. Even though Jeff and I disagree on this issue, this program is governmental crap at the highest level. It cannot and will not accomplish a single thing. And I guarantee that right now, even though I'm more amenable to what the mayor is saying. It's still wrong, and it cannot and will not work. Guarantee it.
This from the Gazette. Without expressly saying so, the city appears to have adopted the critique espoused by progressive Democrats that American society is suffused with systemic injustice, with law enforcement as one of the expressions of that inequity. The opposite view is that American society, even with its flaws, offers equal opportunity to everybody, regardless of race, and with laws that are fairly applied. All right, we've got a whole bunch of phone calls here. We're going to get to these in just a second. I want to talk to you about Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. When we think of low testosterone, you often think of erectile dysfunction, but it can affect you in so many other ways, right? Low sleep, bad sleep, poor workouts, low energy, those types of things all come from low testosterone. And look, our testosterone as guys gets lower as we get older naturally. So if you're suffering from any of those problems, talking to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic and addressing low testosterone may be the right way for you. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic has served the Front Range of Colorado for nearly a decade and has successfully treated tens of thousands of men. Just give them a consult. Visit their website. They have a quiz you could take right there on their website. It's anonymous. Don't worry about it. And see if you have maybe low testosterone problems. Schedule a consult with Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a medical consult with a licensed medical provider, a T and PSA test, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if the test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. They have 5 locations in Colorado: Fort Collins, North Denver, Central Denver, Castle Rock, and Colorado Springs. Stop dealing with the lack of energy power, strength that you want from having low testosterone, give them a call today. 720-440-7900, 720-440-7900, or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. All right, let's go to Marcus and Aurora. Marcus, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Hey, how you been, Jeff?
I'm great. What's on your mind?
All right. Well, thank God I don't live in Denver anymore. I don't understand. He's going to invest $50 million to bring back business downtown.
$500 million. That's $50 million a year for 10 years.
Oh God, I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was a little lower than that. And then this $11 million, and now he's in trouble with the homeless nonprofits. I don't know what's going on down there, but it's pretty interesting.
So, look, the fundamental problem with the left is that they get human nature wrong. They just do. Look, I'll ask this question: if there was a policeman that was on your side, like on your hip, right? He walked around with you all day. Would you steal if there was a policeman that was literally next to you 24 hours a day?
You wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't, right? You wouldn't. So this is where the left gets, especially God, wrong, right? They push God out of the public square, right? Prayer in schools, get out. We're at 10 Commandments. We're going to get out. The idea we're a Christian nation. Oh, you're a Christian nationalist. Get out of here. So they've pushed God out of the public square. God is that 24-hour-a-day reminder that you have consequences in your life. So if you steal, all right? Yeah, you may get away because 7-Eleven didn't see you or Walmart didn't see you, but God sure did. And he said he's going to hold you accountable for this. You are going to be judged on this.
I have a question on this theory here. And Jeff and Marcus, what does it say about you as a person if in order to not steal, you have to have a police officer next to you 24/7? What does that say about you as a person and your moral character and fiber? And I would expand that and say, personally, what does that say about you as a person if you need the threat of eternal damnation to make you do the right thing? Right. So are you a good person?
Do you believe that people are born good or evil?
I have seen children. They're a mess.
So we believe people are naturally born evil. We are selfish beings. We want what we want. We want to take what we want. Yeah, there may be some sense that we're good. Sure.
Is it evil to get what you want is evil? So anybody that achieves their goals by reaching that's evil because they achieved what they wanted.
If it's only what you want and you're willing to steal, for instance, to achieve it, what if you're willing to break all those?
What if you're just willing to step all over the people below you on the ladder as you're going up to the top?
Would you say that's good?
No, I'm just wondering, is that evil? I'm wondering, is that person
good.
Evil?
Nobody's that person evil. Is it?
We reward it, so it could be determined good. We reward it based
Wouldn't
on.
You call that greed?
And sure, absolutely. But
so we wouldn't say greed is good. We say greed is evil.
No, gred is good. How long have you been in America?
That's Wall Street. That's the movie, right?
How long have you been in here in America? America functions off the fundamental principle of greed being good. I mean, Marcus, back me up on this. You know
unlimited capitalism at the sense of just purely greed and getting whatever you want. No, of course that's not good.
Elon Musk disagrees.
Well, everybody's got a little greed in them.
Not sure Elon Musk is a Bible-believing evangelical.
Life as you get older, you do change. And I understand what Billy was saying, and you're saying too, is that, if you got a conscience and everything, and you know what's right, you don't need that police officer next to you 24/7, because if you do, you're a thief.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I've got is the idea that we are assuming that everybody out there is a criminal. And that, like Jeff's premise, that in order to prevent someone from stealing, you have to have a police officer next to you 24/7. And as a parent, you come to a conclusion, a point or another, you can't be with your child 24/7. And they're going to be outside the house and they are free to make those decisions. And they can make good or bad ones. It's your job to hope that they make the good ones and have them be a good person.
So the point I was making was the left is never going to solve these crimes so long as they continue to push religion out of the square. It is an office of social and racial inequity is not going to solve this issue.
So if they did an office of religion and such, would that solve the problem?
It would be a step in the better direction.
No, but would it solve the problem?
100%.
But there's
I
one
disagree.
point here, because both of you, when you make those decisions, you're the judge and jury, even with the kids. Think about this. You are the judge.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that comes back to the idea of because I said so or not, and how just by changing the law, you can say that something's not good over here, but good over there. And let me use the children example for a second. Let's say that you have a split marriage and both have been remarried. And so you have a parent and a step parent. In one household, there is one behavior that is allowed. And we can talk about it. It doesn't have to be a bad behavior. It could be staying up after midnight on a weekday. And at one parent's house, that's allowed. At the other parent's house, it's not allowed. Who's right, who's wrong, who's evil, who's good. Yet the rules are different. So just because we can change the rule doesn't necessarily we're doing the good thing or the right thing. That's all I'm saying in this. The why is much more important.
So what do you think, Jeff?
So again, the left is never going to solve these problems so long as they continue to push religion out of the square, because if there is not a sense of universal right and wrong, if there is not a sense that there is an omniscient God that sees everything, that is going to judge you on stuff, you end up in a world where you basically do what's right in your own eyes. And that creates, if you want to steal from Walmart, or you want to steal from Neiman Marcus, or you want to steal, or you want to justify it because there's been social inequity or racial inequity, whatever your justification is, you're still doing what's right in your own eyes. And I think the left is never going to solve these problems. They just aren't, because they get humanity wrong and they get the nature of human nature wrong.
The only weakness in that, and you make a very good point, the only weakness in that is the number of times that people have used their religion as the justification for their bad actions. That's the only thing.
So that's bad
you're leaning
too.
on, but I know, but you're leaning on the individual, and you're saying then the individual is allowed to make this choice. Individuals that are part of religions, all sorts of religions, use their religion as justification as well. So just not having religion is not the solution, or just having religion is not the solution.
It's a step in the right direction.
Well,
like
Crusades, we did a lot of things based on the fact that we thought it was religion. And we wanted to, but going up there, and that was based on what our God told us to do. I mean, Peter Boyles always talks about one of the first things that was delivered to the German soldiers in the Third Reich was the belt buckle, God mit uns, God with us.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, they had a lot of religion.
And
they were good.
You can debate. There's good religion, there's bad religion. This idea that somehow just because you bring religion in, we're going to end up with Nazis with belt buckles. Give me a break. All right. Jeff on here for American financing. Despite everything that the Fed has been trying, we're still feeling the effects of inflation. Filling up your car, grocery shopping, home repairs, everything is more expensive. And most of you are paying these bills with a credit card. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. And you can't be in credit card debt. Guys, this is brutal. You got to get rid of it. If you're a homeowner, there is a way out. You need to call my friends at American Financing. They can put together a plan to pay off that high interest credit card debt and create meaningful savings for you every month. They're saving people just like you an average of $854 a month and closing in as fast as 10 days. Don't wait. Get yourself into a better position. Call their salary-based mortgage consultants today. It costs nothing to get started. And if you start today, you can delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you greater savings up front. American Financing can help get that monkey off your back. American Financing, 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000. AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334, consumeraccess.org. Do we have Marcus on? Was that who was just on? Okay, Marcus, thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it. Marcus from Aurora. Great call. His line will be open 303-696-1971. Let's go to Aaron in Denver. Aaron, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning there. It's a big scam. Just raping and pillaging and plundering from the taxpayers of damn Colorado. It's not going to change anything. It's just stealing money. Mike Johnston, I didn't vote for mayor, but Stephen Tubbs will tell you, and it's true, it's a true statement. You get the government that you voted for. Well, people voted for Mike Johnston, and this is pile of S that now that you are presented as a taxpayer of Denver, Colorado. So
Yep.
now you got to deal with the aftershocks.
Aaron, think of this: 90 million spent on illegal immigration, 500 million spent trying to revitalize the city. Now 11 million being pulled from the Office of Public Safety to this new Public Safety Office of Racial and Social Equity. Is Denver going to be any better? Do you think Denver's going to be any better after they spend all this money this year?
No, of course not. I mean, like I said, it's just theft. It's stealing from hardworking taxpayers of Democrat. It's just stealing. It's not going to change a damn thing. And Bill brought up the why. Well, the why is, what's the root cause of it? Well, you know, like you said about his two daughters. Well, the root cause of it is that they were in the same room. So now we had to separate them. So it's always, what's the root cause? Why do people steal? Why do people use drugs? Why do people murder, rape, pillage, and plunder? There's always a root cause. And the thing is, though, you bring up religion. But the thing is, though, when there was religion in this country, there was slavery. There was lynching. There was Jim Crow. I can go on and on and on. And when it comes to religion in this country, and nothing against religion. But it has its limits. I mean, Jimmy Swaggart caught with a prostitute. You got these religious people on TV. They'll say one thing and they'll take your money.
When those are examples of when they broke, right? They broke with what the teachings of the Bible are in those cases, right? Prostitutes stealing money, even lynching people. All of that was against.
Slavery's okay though.
Not really.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's
no.
No. So that scripture about slavery is different than chattel slavery. So you're talking about a totally different system.
Oh, there's several pieces. And you're aware there's several pieces of it.
What do they say about slavery?
Well, you can sell your daughter in Exodus. Then we've got further stuff back in Leviticus based on how you can take slaves and where you can get them from and how to treat them.
So you're talking about how the Jews acted early on.
No, I'm just talking about the rules that were outlined in the Bible.
Right.
Yeah.
So, there's a difference, Bill, between how the Bible teaches about certain things in particular times and universal laws.
Yeah.
Right. So there are differences in how Jews acted early on in the formation of their nation, especially as they were dealing with other nations around them, versus universal laws that are taught in there. And slavery in the New Testament is about, as again, you're dealing with chattel slavery, but the idea that the Bible somehow supported what we did to slaves in the 16, 17, 1800s in America just fundamentally is not right, is incorrect. But Aaron, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Aaron's line will be open 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. I want to talk to you about QC Kinetics. Are you tired of living with constant back pain, robbing you of the joy in life? You're not alone. Back pain affects millions, impacting quality of life. But there's hope. My friends at QC Kinetics Denver offer regenerative medical treatments. These are non-surgical, drug-free solutions. As we age, lower back pain becomes common, from muscle strains to herniated discs. Symptoms like muscle aches and shooting pain can worsen with movement. Why risk surgery when there's a safer option? With no downtime and a free consultation, QC Kinetics often provides same-day treatment. Visit my friends at QC Kinetics and revolutionize your approach to lower back pain. Give them a call, 303-900-8986, or visit painfreecolorado.com to schedule your free consultation today. 303-900-8986, or visit painfreecolorado.com, and be sure to tell them Jeff sent you. All right, we'll get to Derek and Ben in a second. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710. KNUS.
At this hour in Brussels, I'm Alex Cadier. Here are the top stories we're following. The United Nations has launched its own probe into an unidentified strike against a UN car in southern Gaza. The strike was the first time a foreign UN worker has been killed in Gaza since the atrocities of October 7th. The staffer was a retired Indian military officer who was on his way to Rafah's European hospital. This comes as Israel is continuing its military operations in Rafah despite widespread international opposition, and as the White House now said it would veto an assistance package for Israel if it made it through Congress. The UN has said it has now set up a fact-finding mission to shed light on exactly how their staffer was killed. Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to visit China on Thursday in an attempt to shore up ties with Beijing, seen as crucial for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It marks Putin's first journey abroad since his inauguration a week ago. Laura Westbrook has more from Hong Kong.
In an interview with Chinese state media, Russia's leader said ties between the two countries were at their highest level ever and is likely to ask for more support to sustain Russia's economy and its war in Ukraine. But there is growing pressure on Beijing to cut back its support of Russia. So observers will be watching to see if the Chinese leader will advocate for a solution to the conflict soon. In Hong Kong, Laura Westbrook for Salem News Channel.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Alex Cadier in Brussels on Salem News Channel.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Derek, Miami, Florida. That's awesome. Thanks so much for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my call. It's actually Daryl. Daryl, Daryl. It wouldn't normally even be such a big deal. Just, I would just go with Derek, but I am a performer. I'm a comedian, stand-up comedian.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Daryl Craft is my name.
That's
and
great.
My sort of tagline is I'll say the craft is easy for me.
That's great. And I have great
Yeah,
appreciation
meaning-
for the stand-up comedians out there. What's on your mind?
Well, the woke culture stuff. Obviously, as a comedian, as somebody who treads the boards of the stand-up stages, I am at the forefront of this woke culture taking over, and politically and otherwise. And I was actually in your great state performing recently in Denver, performing, and I got in all kinds of trouble for a simple joke about Mile High City, and I said, well, the Mile High City, is that reference to the as far as the sea, land, how high it is, or is that in reference to the marijuana legalization? Everybody's high. And the blowback that I got on that, Jeff, was absolutely unbelievable.
On that joke? Really?
On that joke.
Oh,
yeah.
my
Well,
gosh. We're too sensitive.
basically-
Daryl, stick around. We'll get you in the next hour. We'll continue this conversation. Mike Johnston's got a DEI public safety office. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
9 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, center, and sometimes crazy. It's a beautiful day in the greatest country in history, and we're gearing up for a whole nother hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So get that coffee brewing, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. We'll get to the phone lines in just a second. They're just about totally full. Great conversation we're having about Mike Johnston's DEI office. He creates a racial and social equity public safety office. He's going to improve Denver's public safety by addressing racial and social inequity. I don't think it's going to do a dang thing, but we'll get to your calls in a second. Let's check in on Blake Olson's news. Good morning, Blake.
Good morning, Jeff and Bill. 50 and sunny in Denver, expecting highs in the mid 60s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story. Former President Trump accepting President Biden's proposal for multiple debates. In a video posted this morning, Biden challenged Trump to 2 debates, saying, "Make my day, pal."
Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Yeah, he had the bass in the background. Was he having a party?
So, Blake, this is just coming through on Twitter now. Donald Trump has accepted the June 27th debate in Atlanta.
Okay.
Against Joe Biden. CNN.
June 20th in September. If
June 27th, yeah.
June 20th, if he lives that long. I still think they're gonna. I can't believe that he's still gonna be in it. I really can't, for whatever reason. Trump also said, Jeff, on Truth Social, "I'm ready and willing to debate Crooked Joe at those 2 proposed times." So June and September. All right, Whoopi Goldberg on Trump. She's all fired up after she fired up.
President again. He's never listen. He's not going to not stop being president. You understand this? Yeah. His idea is to stay in until he drops dead.
That's it. He's not even conceding it now.
Yeah, that's it. Meanwhile, the dictator off today. Trump's campaign derailment trial resumes tomorrow. Byron Donalds of Florida was there on Tuesday.
Where's the crime? There is no crime. The only crime that's happening here is this Democrat judge and the Democrat Party prosecuting their political rival right in the middle of a presidential election. The crime here is that the issues facing our nation are not being addressed by the Democrats, but they want to go after Donald Trump.
All the fun continues tomorrow. Hey, Stephen Tubbs has made it his mission to raise awareness about fentanyl, and the documentary Devastated premieres tonight in Greeley, also on devastatedco.com. Steph on with Jeff and Bill.
I'm sitting here and I'm almost losing it. Guys, the reason that I wanted to do this film, and my team is incredible, it's for the families. For the families. This knows no gender bias, no race, no socioeconomic barriers, rich people, poor people, homeless, whites, blacks, gays, straights, kids are dying.
Make sure you go to devastatedco.com. Big night. A lot of Castle Pines residents are without water this morning. There's an issue with the local water line that some residents learned Tuesday night. The line ruptured while the district was connecting a new line to the existing system. Flags will be at half staff across the country today for peace officers on Memorial Day. Peace Officers Memorial Day, that is. The day honors those in law enforcement who have fallen in the line of duty. Searchers continue to look for a climber who went missing while summiting Longs Peak in Rocky Mountain National Park. 23-year-old Lucas McCaj was last heard from when he texted a friend that he had reached the summit. However, strong storms moved through the area a short time later, and he hasn't been heard from since then. Searchers looked for him near Black Lake, the Trough, and the Ledges on Tuesday, but haven't turned up any signs of him. 49 in Sheridan, 47 in Arvada, and 50 in Denver.
He is putting together a masterpiece. Another one.
Yes, another one. Nikola Jokic, 40 points, and the Nuggets take another bite out of the T-Wolves in Game 5 Western Conference semifinals last night at Ball Arena, and one more win, and they move on. The Rockies have won 6 straight, 6-3 over the Padres. Getaway day this afternoon. Avalanche take on the Stars tonight, trying to avoid elimination. Caitlin Clark scores 20 in her debut, but her team loses in the WNBA. And Robert De Niro hates Trump, but I learned something. Wow. The 80-year-old is a daddy.
Can you talk about this extraordinary little person who's just come into your life?
My little, my daughter, who's just pure joy, of course.
Yes.
Oh,
look at this.
She's gorgeous.
Is it more tiring now than it was before?
50 years ago? God, that's incredible. Nice job, Robert. Jeff and Bill continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 7-10 5-day forecast, cooler for Denver in the Front Range today, will be in the 60s, and there's going to be some showers around, a couple of thunderstorms through evening, low to mid-40s tonight. Sunny, warmer, and drier, low to mid-70s and sunny and dry Thursday, upper 40s Thursday night. We could be all the way to the low to mid-80s Friday. Friday, a bit breezy. Near 80 Saturday with an isolated thunderstorm, 70s and low 80s with late-day thunderstorms Sunday and Monday. I'm meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Denver mayor creates racial and social equity public safety office. Colorado is number 3 in the nation for crime, and the mayor of Denver is pulling $11 million and 65 employees from the Department of Public Safety to this new Office of Social Equity and Innovation. They believe that they've got to address and eliminate social inequity and race and social injustices by evaluating institutional and structural government systems, policies, and practices to dismantle racism. My question is, can we just go back to the very simple, thou shalt not steal? All right, Daryl, we had you on at the last hour. We ran up against a commercial break. You were saying that you ran into wokeness firsthand here in the city of Denver recently.
That's correct, and thank you. And I was a little worried there. I got cut off by you guys, and I thought, "Oh no, is this happening again? Are they cutting my mic again?" But bless you guys for giving me an opportunity.
Well, I mean, if it would make you feel more at home, we can do that randomly. I'm just saying, we would offer that to you. Okay,
no,
just if it makes you feel better. Okay, good. Okay, continue.
Very funny, very funny. I do like that, but basically, yeah, it was, for me, it's the most innocuous joke, about high and getting high in the Mile High City and marijuana smoke and everything, and what could be possibly wrong. But they genuinely cut my microphone, and I'm talking to the manager afterwards and trying to get some explanation other than just that we've gone crazy with the woke. And he says it wasn't the joke itself, it was the act out. And because the act out that I do is I'll pull it out and I've painted it like a joint, my thing, and I'll start tooting on it, like sucking myself, but tooting on it like it's a joint, like I'm sucking on my thing. That's but clever. It's like I'm smoking on a joint.
All right, Daryl. Unfortunately, we've got to go. Can't say those words. We got the dump in. All right. Well, let's continue on. Let's go to Ben in Denver. Ben, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Yeah, thank you. What a
an act to follow there.
Well,
I know, and you're the only one that got to hear that. So
right,
you got to hear it live. Everybody else didn't get to hear the
got
special word. Yeah. So it's just the three of us here.
Okay.
Ben, pretty much anything would be better right now.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I was just going to talk about the Mayor Johnston stuff. Yeah, C.S. Lewis has a great line where he says the game is to have them all running around with fire extinguishers whenever there's a flood. I think that's a great picture for what's going on with this new program. Like you said, Jeff, I mean, just the simple "thou shalt not steal," arrest criminals, invest in police and law and order and law enforcement and that type of thing would totally solve these issues. But instead, they come up with these wild solutions that cost a lot of money and do really little to no good at all. I think one example we have of this is Mayor Giuliani way back in the day.
Yeah.
Some controversial practices, but it really did work. It was effective.
And Giuliani's approach was called the broken window theory, which was if you have a house, a vacant house, and someone throws a window or rock and breaks a window, well, then more people are going to be willing to do that. And then the crime against the house just kind of perpetuates. Then people spray paint and will, take, squat in the house, that type of thing. So you got to address the small crimes. And in his case, it was jumping turnstiles, spray painting, graffiti. We're going to take those really seriously. We're going to ticket. We'll arrest if we have to. And if you remember, New York was really pretty good under his leadership. Were there examples of where they probably abused it racially? Sure. But the idea that an office within the public of safety that's going to address social inequity is somehow going to make people want to commit crime less just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and then, like you guys have mentioned too, Mayor Johnston is willing to spend $500 million on trying to revitalize downtown, when none of the $500 million seems to address the underlying issues of people don't want to go downtown because of crime and safety issues. So it's just spending a lot of money for not actually addressing what's pretty plain to see.
Yeah, Ben, I agree. What would it take for you to get more comfortable going downtown?
I mean, I'd say addressing the homeless solution is certainly a major piece of that, and just the drug crisis that is very present on the streets. Until there's some level of comfortability just walking around or even riding the light rail, there's no chance I'd want to take my family downtown.
Safety is the number one issue. That's it. It's just safety. People, if you want people walking around 16th Street Mall, visiting bars, going to restaurants, having fun, they got to know they're going to be safe doing it. And those people got to go somewhere. So I think it's a crime management issue. Ben, I appreciate the call. Ben's line will be open 303-696-1971. Hey, with all the work I've had done on my teeth, believe me, finding a good dentist makes all the difference. I'd like to talk to you about Dr. Mike at Rocky Mountain Dental Group. It helps people like you and me look and feel amazing by providing the best dental care available. You can see for yourself all the 5-star reviews at RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. Here's one. Do yourself a favor. Go there. Staff goes beyond expectations. They provide excellent service, affordable, friendly, reasonable, gentle, careful, kind service. And if you're experiencing recession on your upper or lower gums, ask Dr. Mike about the groundbreaking procedure called Pinhole Gum Rejuvenation Technique, a treatment option for those experiencing receding gums. It's scalpel-free, suture-free, and a graft-free procedure. Just a tiny pinhole and gentle repositioning of the gums. Visit RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. That's RockyMountainDentalGroup.com, or call 303-233-1335 for a free consultation. That's 303-233-1335. Mayor Mike in Ireland right now. So he must have done this announcement before he headed out there.
Or just didn't care. Just the idea that he's going to Ireland, and I do like the idea that you were talking with Ben about crime and safety, and it brought me back to the office, that the mayor is proposing and created. And it has no plans, no idea
they actually say that.
about how it's going to address the racial and social inequity that leads to the crime in order to make people feel safer. And I'm sorry, this really frustrates me. And I've been a little bit prickly this morning. This one really, really annoys me because when you're involved in a business, when you, listener, have been in the business and you've been sitting there, you've been called into the meeting, and they're going to create a group that is going to do something. They're going to be in charge of the next office party. They're going to be in charge of birthdays. They're going to be in charge of a brand new product that is out there that you're going to market. It's going to be involved in correcting the problems with this customer service. I'm betting, now I don't know for sure, but I'm betting that you have some sort of a basic action plan or idea about how this group that you guys are creating is going to accomplish the goal. There's somewhere in there, when we're creating the group that we're carving out of everybody else in your office, that when we're doing that, they have a goal and a process to how they're going to get there. Because if you don't, you can't judge their effectiveness. But things operate differently when you're in the government. Accountability is merely a suggestion. So now you have the ability to create an entirely new office and not have any idea about what it's going to do or how it's going to accomplish it. And then you come out in front of the taxpayers and talk about the great thing you did. And we're curious why government routinely just trips and falls down when it's trying to do things like this. You wouldn't do this. You would walk out of the meeting in your office and go, well, that was a waste of time. We don't even know what this new group does. And if you're in the new group, you're like, woohoo, I'm getting paid for the new group and I don't have to do a thing because you guys don't know what I'm doing. So it doesn't matter. I can be the worst person. I don't have to show up for another meeting ever. And I can still pull the paycheck, but what are you going to do? There's no way to judge what I'm doing here, so I can't be wrong. Yeah, I want that job.
And, Mayor Mike was kind of supposed to be the kind of pro-business alternative in that primary.
And again, that was the thing that I saw in him during the primary. Again, not a Denver resident, didn't vote. But that was the appeal, was that he brought in more of the business acumen and brought in more of the idea that, while again, we disagree on whether or not the government can be run like a business, but there are business principles that absolutely would help the government function better. One of them being, I don't know, decide what the group is going to do before you make it. You're on the whiteboard. We got the big thing in front of us. Don't we think what the group is going to do and how they're going to accomplish it should be one of the top 3 things we have, even before we think of a name? Even before a name, shouldn't we figure out what it's going to do, how it's going to accomplish that, and maybe how we evaluate it? I would hope that would be the top 2 of 3 things, but evidently not.
Somebody with a plan, Dan Caplis Law. Dan, I've known for years. He shares our values. He's pro-life, pro-family, pro-America. He suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis is the son of a police officer. He's also a former seminarian. He has dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm. For serious cases, Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. If you need Dan's help, give him a call, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS law.com. I want to change here a little bit. Saw this article yesterday, and man, this got me. Woo, Billy.
Really?
This got me bad.
Was it free taquitos and margaritas on Tuesdays?
I wish.
What was it?
This was in West, where Denver elementary students suffer racist slurs during the city council meeting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm actually surprised in how they executed the meeting. I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often, honestly.
Bro.
Yeah. No, I'm
so.
I'm
This
surprised.
is and let me share with you why this hit me personally, because my first real engagement with government was something I was frustrated about in my city.
Cool.
I went to our little local city council because I did not believe curfew laws were constitutional.
Oh,
I was a young person. I had read about the idea of freedom of association and all that stuff and all these great freedoms that America possessed. And I was in 8th grade. No, 5th grade, 8th grade, one of those, 5th grade or 8th grade. And I was like, this is not right.
Yeah.
This is not right. So I went to my little local city council with my pocket constitution. Actually, it was the constitution in the back of my civics book.
Okay. Yeah.
And I asked questions. And to their credit, I will never forget this. They were incredibly kind.
Good.
When you're in 5th grade or 8th grade, whatever grade I was in, you're nervous as all get out.
Oh, yeah.
And you've heard about this great system that America's created of self-government. And you feel like you're invited into it. You're to carry on this legacy of self-government. Okay. Yeah. I don't agree with curfew laws. I think they're unconstitutional. I would like to go talk to my elected officials about it. And they were thoughtful, probably overtly thoughtful for a dumb kid standing there. They listened to me. They asked questions. They debated back and forth with each other. Nice. It was a wonderful experience for me.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, I felt empowered to continue that process. It probably laid the groundwork for the work I did for many years in public policy.
Did the law change? Did it change the rules?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Of course not.
So that again was, and you missed it at the time, that was also your first lesson into being invited into government, that only some people's invitations count. We're all allowed to participate, but only some people count. Yes, exactly.
So then I saw this happened the other day, and man, this broke my heart. 2 young Black girls went before Denver City Council to ask for help for their school. Yeah. Instead, they became victims of a racist tirade. 4th and 5th grade students from Monarch Montessori spoke during the council's weekly public comment session on Monday, May 13th, requesting assistance in getting a yurt for their school. So a yurt's like a tent.
Yurt. Yeah, it's like a big round tent.
Yeah. Did you like that?
Oh, I love yurt.
And
this is such a fun word.
But less than a minute into their testimonies, a voice from the online Zoom shouted at the girls to go back to effing Africa, followed, and they didn't say that, they actually said the full word, followed by a series of insults and racial slurs. Council staff unsuccessfully tried to mute the anonymous speaker, but the racist rant continued for nearly 30 seconds, with the female-sounding voice repeatedly calling the children the N-word before the Zoom was eventually disconnected. The words were vile, as was the character of the person who would actively seek to say these words to 2 beautiful, courageous young girls, Council President Jamie Torres said in a statement issued the day after the meeting. These youths gathered to bravely bring their voices to the city council representatives to improve their school and community. We honor and praise these 2 young voices and condemn anyone who would attack them or any other member of the community. The 4th and 5th graders were left in tears, unable to continue. The 5th grader unable to continue her speech after the racist diatribe. The 4th grader started her testimony over repeating her plea for a yurt, which the school would use as additional classroom space. She told council members that her school has struggled to obtain the necessary building permits for the yurt. Someone should create a GoFundMe, and I would donate to that so those girls could get that yurt.
Yeah, just because it's just I'm actually surprised this doesn't happen more often.
And it kind of does on these city council meetings.
And part of it being, I don't know who's involved in technology, but there is an ability to create primary people involved in the meeting and then mute everybody secondary. So they could designate, because I've been on the back end. Again, I don't know the system they're using, but I've been on the back end of some of these. And because in large scale meetings, things like, and here's the thing is, like, I don't know, at Westwood One, my other job, oddly enough, in large Zoom meetings with DJs, people that talk a lot, they tend to have opinions and tend to try to, they don't get into debates about things, but They all say stuff. And so the only way to have a large-scale meeting with all the DJs is to mute them. That's the only way you can do it. You bring in the primary people that are doing the meeting, and everybody else gets muted. And then there's ways that you can designate that you have a question, you want to say something. But that's the only way it works. Otherwise... You've met me. I have a hard time shutting up. Same thing. Imagine 36 me's sitting there doing music stuff. Yeah.
So, but what's happened? I want to get to this in just a second. I want to talk about Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team first. This has actually been something that's kind of happening on a bunch of city councils across Colorado and the United States. I'll get to that in just a second. So we had Gay in our studio a few weeks ago. She's been here twice now. She loves the show. She's a fan of our values. Here's why, if you need to sell your home, you should absolutely go with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. First of all, she's incredibly kind. If you're going to work through all the stressful issues of selling a home, you're going to want to work with someone like Gay Ribble. Second, she shares our values. She donates to orphans here in the state of Colorado, in part because she was an orphan herself, and she wants to help children find their kind of their forever families. And then third, she's a real pro, right? We all have family members. We all have friends that are real estate agents. But when it comes to selling your home, you got to get the best money you can out of it. She gets her clients an average of $30,000 more. Could you use an extra $30,000? That's precisely why you need Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. Their exclusive database is filled with over 14,000 pre-screened buyers ready to make a purchase. Take the stress and hassle out of selling your home while getting the best price. Here's an unbeatable offer. Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team will sell your house for 100% of the asking price, or Gay will pay you the difference. It's an offer you simply cannot refuse. Get 100% of your asking price guaranteed with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. Give them a call today, 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or go to gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. All right, so we're talking about this city council meeting that happened the other day where these two girls going before to try to get some permitting flexibility for their elementary school to have a yurt were shouted down by somebody on Zoom. These were two young black girls, 4th and 5th grade, and somebody on Zoom said, "Go back to effing Africa," all these insults, racial slurs. For nearly a minute, the N-word was used. These girls left in tears. But this has become an issue broader. This incident like this has occurred in city councils across Colorado and the United States. This is from Westward. Have had to grapple with hate speech during remote public comment sessions. Lakewood and Castle Rock have limited or eliminated remote testimony options because of similar racist or anti-Semitic attacks. Because you get these First Amendment auditors.
Yeah.
Have you heard of these folks?
No.
So they will go to these city councils and just scream curse words and anti-Semitic stuff. And when they get shut down, they sue the city. For a First Amendment speech violation.
Interesting. But again, normally that lawsuit should fail based on community standards.
But guess what?
You are not allowed in the city council.
They don't want to take the time to go to court and fight it.
See, they should. They should just fight it because, especially in states like Colorado, you can recover some of your law costs. So make them, and that's part of the reason it's there. And I wish more people would sit there and again, if you have the ability, because as soon as it financially impacts the joker that is doing these, then it stops. Because if this person isn't just being able to sue and get all the attention, if it's taking money out of their pocket that hurts their ability to be an act a fool elsewhere, then you got something. Yeah, that's the inherent punishment.
If you have to show up, it's a lot more embarrassing to yell that stuff face to face than you do just kind of on a Zoom call with no face. Yeah, exactly. There's one guy on Twitter who's like, "Jeff, you're not bold enough. That's the reason why the GOP is losing in Colorado. You need to be bolder." And comes from a totally anonymous account. How about you start by putting your name on your Twitter account first, or your X account? All right, I want to talk to you about American financing. Everyone thinks mortgage rates are extremely high, but that's not entirely true. Mortgage rates are much lower than the average credit card rate of 22%. Think about how much interest you're going to pay on that credit card if you're only paying the minimum payment every month. If you're a homeowner, a cash-out refinance with American financing can help you pay off that debt and lower your monthly expenses. They are saving homeowners just like you an average of, get this, guys, $854 a month. Their salary-based mortgage consultants will show you how much you can save every month with no upfront fees and no obligation. You may even close in as fast as 10 days and possibly delay 2 mortgage payments, giving you greater savings up front. Bottom line, if you are trapped in that cycle of credit card debt, which is just vicious because you can barely make the bare minimum monthly payments, and then that interest is compounding and growing, and it's becoming a real problem for you, just give them a call. Just have a conversation with them. Get the financial relief you need and stop living paycheck to paycheck. Call American Financing today. American Financing, 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000. AmericanFinancing.net, NMLS 182334, consumeraccess.org. Let's go to Nick in Denver. Nick, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Nick.
My first, I have a question. How did this racial outburst happen? Did it happen electronically and they didn't have the technology to shut it down?
It happened via Zoom, and I don't know. I don't understand why they couldn't just click the mute button. They eventually had to kick the person out.
Well, the issue is you can't, it's difficult at times to figure out who the speaker is. Again, I don't know how many people they have in front of them because I've seen that big Zoom wall, and sometimes it can get into pages of people on the back end as far as who it is. So sometimes it can take you a little bit of time in order to mute them per se. And I don't know how the system is set up. It might not have allowed them to mute an individual in that way. Again, how it was set up. But whatever it is, it was a giant mistake on the back end of just leaving microphones open for every participant on the call. That is a phenomenally dumb mistake.
Well, it goes back to my my firm belief that government seems to always be 2 steps behind technology, and when problems arise, they should have thought about this and had some kind of a system in place where they could just, as you said, push a button and just mute it completely right away.
And it's just what it says about our culture, that these 2 young girls going up there trying to represent their school, trying to help their friends, and they have this experience with their government. My goodness, it's
horrible.
Heartbreaking.
It's absolutely awful. And they'll probably never do anything like this again because of this experience.
I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. I had a good experience, being a dopey 5th grader with my little constitution, trying to understand why something was happening, and the kindness and the seriousness. They probably had a 20-minute conversation. Jeez. They didn't even go well, thank you, Mr. Hunt, and dismiss me. They had a conversation, and I walked away going, that was incredible. And it shaped my. That's why I'm so sensitive to this.
And you know what hurts me about this, Nick, as well, and Jeff, is that we know this wasn't a council member, so it wasn't the girl's direct interaction with someone on the council, but it is a member of the community. And to me, that is more of a violation. That, to me, if I am in that child's position, that scares me and hurts me more, because if it's one of the council members, I can avoid them. I can label them as a racist, and I can say, you're the jackass that did this to me, and then I can avoid you, and I can live my life that way. Now, those girls are walking to school, going to the grocery store, playing in the park, knowing that somebody in that community feels that way about them. And that's scary. That's scary when you're that young.
Well, I just think it always seems to be the situation where the government is always 2 steps behind. They should, again, have the technology to have muted that immediately and identified who said that.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Yeah. No, Nick, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for the call, man. In fact, I'll tell you the story of this, that this happened sort of thing. It's interesting that's now coming to the city council meetings. This happened during the pandemic to classrooms. The idea, when Nick is saying, Nick is saying that the government's 2 steps behind, they're absolutely right. He's right, because the government schools already dealt with this. One of my daughters knows 2 kids that were in high school that got in trouble for getting the link from their middle school sister and joining their Zoom classes during the pandemic and saying naughty things and playing audio that shouldn't be there. They got suspended. They were held responsible because they could track that down. But the idea that if the kids are doing it, the dummy adults are going to do it too. Nick's right. The government should have known.
So I don't see any GoFundMe created. I think we should do that.
Maybe we should. It's a good
It'd be
idea.
fun. I help these girls out. Hey, is there a student ready to live out their life and prepare for their future career? For over 100 years, Colorado Christian University has been educating the next generation of Christian leaders in a distinctly Christ-centered community. CCU is the premier interdenominational Christian university in the Rocky Mountain region. They offer a world-class education, ranking in the top 2% of all colleges nationwide for their rigorous academics. Students can choose from over 100 undergraduate programs ranging from psychology, entrepreneurship, theology, and engineering to their nationally acclaimed nursing and education programs. CCU cultivates real faith that equips students for all areas of life. Their small campus and Christ-centered community set CCU apart. At CCU, students are known by name, not by number. Professors are mentors, developing students spiritually and professionally. No matter what degree paths they choose, your student will graduate from Colorado Christian, ready to impact the world with grace and truth. To learn more and apply, go to ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. We'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in Brussels, I'm Alex Cadier. Here are the top stories we're following. Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to visit China on Thursday in an attempt to shore up ties with Beijing, seen as crucial for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It marks Putin's first journey abroad since his inauguration a week ago. Laura Westbrook has more from Hong Kong.
In an interview with Chinese state media, Russia's leaders said ties between the two countries were at their highest level ever and is likely to ask for more support to sustain Russia's economy and its war in Ukraine. But there is growing pressure on Beijing to cut back its support of Russia. So observers will be watching to see if the Chinese leader will advocate for a solution to the conflict soon. In Hong Kong, Laura Westbrook for Salem News Channel.
The United Nations has launched its own probe into an unidentified strike against a UN car in southern Gaza. The strike was the first time a foreign UN worker has been killed in Gaza since the atrocities of October 7th. The staffer was a retired Indian military officer who was on his way to Rafah's European hospital. This comes as Israel is continuing its military operations in Rafah despite widespread international opposition, and as the White House now said it would veto an assistance package for Israel if it made it through Congress. The UN has said it has now set up a fact-finding mission to shed light on exactly how their staffer was killed. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Alex Cadier in Brussels on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Kind of shocking event happened Monday. Some Denver elementary students were trying to get a yurt for their school, Monarch Montessori. They go down to the Denver City Council, and then somebody on Zoom spends a minute yelling the N-word at these poor 4th and 5th grade girls.
Awful.
They ended up in tears. I'm looking online to see if they have a GoFundMe, because, man, I'd donate to these girls.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And I hope they get involved in the civic process and they're not intimidated by this.
This isn't the one thing they remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's just crazy. I want to get to David here in just a second. I want to talk briefly about QC Kinetics. Folks, you're getting older and you're dealing with constant back pain and it's robbing the joy out of your life. You're not alone. Back pain affects millions, impacting the quality of life. But here's the hope. My friends at QC Kinetics Denver offer regenerative medical treatments. These are non-surgical, drug-free solutions. You know this, folks. If you stop moving, those joints stop moving, and that weight gets on, it's very hard to get moving again. And so if you're dealing with some pain and you don't want to go down the surgery route, which I understand because that is really should be a last resort, check out QC Kinetics. As we age, lower back pain becomes common, from muscle strains to herniated discs. Symptoms like muscle aches and shooting pain can worsen with movement. Why risk surgery when there's a safer option? With no downtime and a free consultation, QC Kinetics often provides same-day treatment. Visit my friends at QC Kinetics and revolutionize your approach to lower back pain. Give them a call at 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986, or visit painfreecolorado.com. That's painfreecolorado.com to schedule your free consultation today and tell them Jeff Hunt sent you. Let's go to David in Thornton. David, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Thank you for taking my call. I just look at government again, giving the 2 young girls a Donald Trump treatment.
What does that mean?
Well, that's the way they treat Trump. They treat anybody like that. They can treat little 8-year-old girls the way they treat Trump.
But this wasn't the government. This was some random person on Zoom. In fact, they were desperately trying to mute.
I thought that was city council.
It was, but it was somebody on Zoom that yelled all that. Nobody at the city council did, thank God. That'd be one-way ticket out of that office.
Yeah, that would be.
But no, David,
it kind of sounded to me like that came right out of the city council. You go to city council, you don't expect somebody like John Doe down the street to get in on that. I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's disappointing.
That's kind of the issue, David, that you're right, and thanks for the call. The idea that a John Doe calls into the to the Zoom call.
This is why we need a God to keep these people accountable, man.
Or at least just put your name on the real, the
so
idea.
Did you hear that they did have a name on there?
Oh, I'm sure, and I'm sure it's something.
It was Charla Nash. They don't believe that it was the speaker's real name because that was the woman who was infamously mauled by a chimpanzee.
Yeah, ate her face. Yeah, and so I remember that one. I took her face off. Those things, they can be nasty, and just like our friend, Daryl or Derek or the other names he's called in under in the past. So yeah, the thing is, our system keeps a record of when you call. Just saying,
we
Derek.
got you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Oh, the guy that called in.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
We will remember that. We'll remember that.
We don't use it. We never go into that back into the system. But now when you say those colorful metaphors on the air, sometimes we have to.
Guys, for those of you with a full head of hair, congratulations. Studies show that one of the most attractive physical features is a full head of hair. Want to know the least attractive and most aging? It's hair loss. No amount of car, house, or success can make up for that thinning or balding, as it leaves the greatest lasting physical impression. It doesn't have to be that way. Advanced Hair has the quick one-day solution to your hair loss. No more expensive pills or special shampoos, just your very own natural hair guaranteed to grow. And with Advanced Hair, your new hair can grow for life. Advanced Hair has improved tens of thousands of lives, including top radio personalities across the country. Did I mention your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day? For your free consultation, call 720-459-HAIR. And if you qualify, get $250 off and $250 free hair grafts. Visit advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. When we come back, it's been delayed, but we'll do You Choose the News. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Been an absolutely fantastic Jeff and Bill show. Dove into the Trump trials in the 6 o'clock hour. Michael Cohen. Then Stephen Tubbs joined us 7 o'clock hour. He's got a new documentary out tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. devastatedco.com. If you want to watch his new documentary, devastatedco.com. And then, oh boy, call lines lit up with this one. Denver mayor creates racial and social equity public safety office. He's going to address that crime out there via racial and social equity DEI program.
Yeah, without outlining what the office is going to do, which exactly I'm sure is going to help. That's going to be great.
You know, I want to talk to you about my friends at Mountain High Appliance. Hurry in now and check out their Get the Look sales event. Now, for a limited time, you can receive up to a $3,000 rebate with the purchase of a select GE Cafe appliance. Enjoy Mountain High Appliance price match guarantee and special financing offers. See store for details and experience the difference at one of Mountain High Appliance's 4 locations in Denver at East 64th, Littleton, Louisville, and Glenwood Springs. All right, let's wrap it up with You Choose the News, Bill.
Yes. It is that time of the morning where we finally get to play You Choose the News. We were a little bit busy early in the morning, and the people in charge are in a meeting. We had to wait until we watched them walk across the hall into the conference room so we can now play everybody's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. I've spent mere moments browsing the interwebs this morning for really dumb stories about us humans and given them more ridiculous names and headlines to play this fake radio news game. Why? It's funny and fun and silly, and they don't know we're doing it. So again, we only got a couple minutes while they're across the hall doing this meeting. Mr. Hunt, you're flying solo this morning. Here are your choices. Headline number 1, what was that noise? Headline number 2, like in Stargate. Headline number 3, surprise, you're having family for dinner. And headline number 4, new job, new benefits.
Ooh, yeah. What was that noise, Bill?
Yeah, what was that noise? A young woman who is a YouTube streamer was asking that question recently while she was navigating the streets of Los Angeles, California, as Mr. David Letterman used to say. What she was doing is she was streaming herself, driving along, talking about her day, and imbibing the marijuana. Yes, she was smoking the devil's lettuce and driving and talking about her busy day when all of a sudden there was a noise that had woken her out of her slightly induced drug stupor. What could that possibly be? She noticed, oh, wait, there's someone laying on the ground. She hit someone in her car. She hit a pedestrian. So she's live streaming herself, and she was smoking the ganja earlier, and then she's talking, and then boom, and the person obviously is a little upset. She goes back and goes, you can watch the stream. I wasn't even smoking, or I wasn't looking at chat at the time. It's not my fault. It still means you're an idiot. You weren't paying attention. You were piloting the vehicle down the road, and you hit a person, not a car, not this, a person. Don't drive high. All righty.
Elon Musk is going to solve all those problems for us. You can drive around stoned in your car.
Yeah, but he's been lying about that self-driving thing for years now. I just can't believe him yet. Okay. Like in Stargate, surprise you're having family for dinner, or new job, new benefits.
Let's do Stargate.
Yeah, like in Stargate. If you visit to New York, you can visit the mystical portal. Yes, an artist has set up a mystical portal that is connecting New York and Dublin, Ireland. Yes. He said it's part of his plan for a more united planet. Now, just like in Stargate, it is an enormous circle that has a TV screen on the inside and live stream what's happening in Dublin at the time. And you can communicate back and forth with people in New York. And it took a grand total of 72 hours until we did the most American thing and started flipping them off and showing our junk.
I saw
3 days.
Women were pulling up their tops.
3 days. Yes. And guess what? When that story came out, I was on the air on Westwood One and said, I give us about a week until we're flashing our junk and flipping them off. And I gave us way too much leeway. It happened in 3 days. Oh, but you knew that was going to happen. You set that thing up like in, I don't know, Cheyenne, Wyoming. Okay, not as many people. Nobody's flashing their junk. No, nobody's flipping you off there.
I think I'd rather see goats, walking by, buffalo, those types of things.
As soon as you knew they're putting it in New York, you're like, oh, this is going to end badly. This is going to end badly. Speaking of ending badly, surprise you're having family for dinner, or new job, new benefits.
New job, new benefits.
New job, new benefits. That is what a bunch of brand new flight attendants for American Airlines are finding out. They have got a brand new job, but they are part of the American Airlines team. And congratulations, you also get a whole bunch of new benefits. No, sorry, not from American Airlines, from the average taxpayer. American Airlines is handing out letters to their brand new flight attendant class saying that, yes, we're only paying you $27,000 a year, and that qualifies you for government services. So you can deliver this letter to get your food stamps and your rental assistance and everything else. Just remember that we have to be excellent and happy about the fact that you and me, the taxpayer, get to subsidize American Airlines low wages.
Thank you, American Airlines.
Yeah, that's American action. That's the end of You Choose the News. That's how we do it. Back to you, sir.
All right, 65 today. Scattered thunderstorms. Gets us a little bit warmer tomorrow, 72. If you missed any of the show, go to 710 KNUS. You listen to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.